Please welcome local recording artist Anna Hurt.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
The United States Air Force Heritage Band of America, Staff Sergeant Julia Mishler.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and its red bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of and the whole Golden Corral has supported our veterans for over 2 decades through military appreciation nights, providing meals to veterans and active duty service members at no cost. And as a founding partner of Camp Corral, Golden Corral helps send children of wounded, ill, or fallen military members to summer camp each year. It truly is a special experience for those kids and their families. Well, it's been a tradition since 1991, but we're getting ready to get around the Glen once more in the Xfinity Series. We got 200 miles on deck with the command coming up first when we come back.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for NASCAR Xfinity Series Racing, the Mission 200 at Watkins Glen International, 2.45-mile road course, 7 different corners, a lot of hard 90-degree turns around this road course layout. Some very long straightaways leading to very fast, high-paced speeds, and we're going to see some great action throughout the course of today's 82-lap race around this track. Connor Zilich, defending winner of the race, on the pole, qualified on pole by over 0.6 of a second on the road course master in the NASCAR ranks, Shane Van Gisbergen. These two have gone head-to-head for what will today be the 3rd time this season in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, with the first time Shane Van Gisbergen winning head-to-head in a 1-2 finish at the Chicago Street Race. A 1-2 finish between these two at Sonoma, where Connor Zilich got the upper hand in the last go. And here we are a month later. Time for Watkins Glen, the rubber match between the two. But there are still other drivers who are in this race as well, many of which obviously Xfinity Series regulars. We do have one other Cup regular in the field today. That would be Michael McDowell pulling double duty this weekend. He'll be in the 11 for Colleague Racing. Of course, Josh Williams not returning with that race team for the remainder of the year, so they have an open ride there. Carson Hocevar was in that 11 last week at Iowa. This weekend, again, it is Michael McDowell. And other Xfinity Series regulars who have had great runs on road courses earlier this season, some of which already this weekend. William Sawalich had a top 5 yesterday in the Craftsman Truck Series race, had a pretty solid run, starts top 5 today. Sam Mayer coming off a win last week at Iowa, his first of the season, first with the newly rebranded Haas factory team, as of course they downsized from SHR from 1 year to this year. So they're riding a high from a week ago, trying to go for back-to-back wins. And remember, Mayer has won a few times on road courses in his already young Xfinity career back with Junior Motorsports on several occasions. So I would think that he could be another one of those underdogs that could be competitive today. Kaz Grala starts up inside the top 10 road course ringer on the NASCAR race. We usually see him run some road races with the top 3 series this weekend for the Xfinity. And we'll go through the starting lineup and more here in a moment. First, we'll highlight the point standings and the season in review to see where we are at coming into this weekend. We do have 4 races left in the regular season for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and we have a deadlock tie for the regular season championship race between Connor Zilich and Justin Allgaier. Sam Mayer minus 16 points has come from over 100 back as of about a month and a half ago to be to where he's at right now. It looked like it was Justin Allgaier and nobody else for the longest time, but Zilich on the hot streak with the road courses we had in the summer. Sam Mayer getting hot and winning last week. Several top 5 performances. He had one at Indy the week before that. Justin Allgaier having some problems, some crashes like last week at Iowa. Got in a wreck at Indianapolis. Didn't get a great finish there after contact battling for a win late with Kyle Larson. And all of a sudden now, Justin Allgaier again tied for the regular season championship lead. Very tight between those 3 drivers. Very much up for grabs today. It'll be interesting to see how the stage splits will be for, say, Mayer and Allgaier. Do they go for stage points knowing Zilich is probably going to go for the win? Can they outpoint him today because of that and still get a decent finish? That'll be fun to follow. So those are the only drivers in contention for the regular season championship battle. Jesse Love's minus 70 points on Austin Hill on back is over 2 full races out with only, again, 4 races to go. 12 drivers do qualify for the Xfinity Series playoff field. We do have 8 spots locked up with wins. Connor Zilich has the most this season with 5. He's won on road courses and ovals, believe it or not. Justin Allgaier, 3 wins on the season. Same for Austin Hill, who was suspended a week ago following an on-track incident with Eric Almirola at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway the week before. But again, he is back this week. Sam Mayer picked up his first win of the year last weekend. Jesse Love has 1 win on the season, save for Brandon Jones, Sammy Smith, and Nick Sanchez. So 4 drivers above the cut line on points. We got Carson Kvapil plus 93, Sheldon Creed plus 82, plus 67 for Taylor Gray, and then the very tight battle between Harrison Burton, Ryan Sieg, and Jeb Burton. Harrison Burton plus 17 points is the last driver above the cut line. Ryan Sieg now first driver out minus 17. He's had back-to-back top 5s coming into this week. And Jeb Burton minus 19 points was above the cut line over Harrison Burton and Ryan Sieg last week. Not a great day at Iowa. Had mechanical issues before the start of the race. It was running around 30th for most of the event. So we'll see how Jeb Burton can get going on the road course here at Watkins Glen and maybe cut back into that deficit. If not, come out of this race with the 12th spot in the driver's standings. Just given the command to fire engines right now in CW Sports, so we'll go through the starting lineup. Again, Connor Zilich on the pole today, along with Shane Van Gisbergen. So both of them starting on the front row. We'll see how long they can keep their cars up at the front of the field in a head-to-head battle amongst one another. As far as the rest of the field behind them in row 2, we'll have Taylor Gray and Sam Mayer. William Sawalich, Sammy Smith make up row 3. Row 4 for Nick Sanchez, Kaz Grala. And then row 5 rounding out the top 10, Justin Allgaier and Austin Hill. Sheldon Creed and Michael McDowell will make up row 6. Row 7 for Brandon Jones, Carson Kvapil. Row 8 will be Jesse Love, Riley Herbst, who is another one of the Cup regulars in the field today. Harrison Burton, Austin Green, a road course ringer we've seen several times at the Xfinity level, will make up row 9. Behind them in row 10, Dean Thompson and Anthony Alfredo. Now to the back half of the field, Daniel Dye, Parker Retzlaff in row 11, Jeb Burton, Matt DiBenedetto, row 12, Thomas Annunziata, Stephen Parsons, row 13. Josh Bilicki doing double duty this weekend, Cup and Xfinity, will be row 14 on the inside, Kyle Sieg to the outside. Sieg's brother Ryan Sieg on the inside of row 15. Jeremy Clements in that row as well. Brennan Poole, Blaine Perkins deeper in the field in row 16. Ryan Ellis, Preston Pardis, row 17. Glen Reen, Christian Eckes coming from the back of the pack in row 18. And then row 19, rounding out the field, Garrett Smithley and Austin J. Hill. We have 2 Austin Hills in the field today. We've got Austin Hill and we've got Austin J. Hill. I don't know what Austin Hill RCR number 21 and what his middle name is, but hopefully it's not J, otherwise it'll get really confusing. But yeah, 2 Austin Hills in the field. How about that? So again, 82 laps is our scheduled distance today. Same length for stage 1 and stage 2 across all 3 series this weekend, 20 laps. And then the final stage will make up the rest of the race. 72 laps yesterday, 82 today, and tomorrow will be 90 for the total race length. So stage 3 today will be 42 laps. They will have to pit for fuel and tire purposes in that final stage. Should be a pretty standard 2-stop race for fuel. Because of the way the stage splits are, we could see a lot of these teams taking 3 stops. Some may try to gamble for 2 on track position side of things, but pretty straightforward 3-stopper. Dean Tate, Bam Hall, Terry Lewis, thanks for tuning in. You guys are the first in the chat below. Appreciate you watching. Chat poll will remain open until the end of stage 2 today. Asked you who you think is going to win today's Xfinity Series race. 48% of those votes taking Connor Zilich for the win. He's going to be my pick for the race win today. I think the speed that he showed and qualifying significantly more than Shane Van Gisbergen, I think is going to lean well for Zilich. Both these two were in this race a season ago. Obviously, with SVG being a full-time Xfinity Series regular, Zilich making his debut at this track a year ago, and Zilich still got the win. Overall, I think he's got the upper hand with these cars specifically for the Xfinity Series in what will be today's race. Michael McDowell, 16% of the votes, 12% for somebody other than McDowell, Zilich, or SVG, and SVG at 24% in the voting poll. And again, we only currently have 25 votes, so be sure to cast your vote if you haven't yet. Got over half the people watching right now who have not voted. Be sure to hit the like button on the stream if you haven't done that yet either. We didn't quite get to our goal of 50 likes during practice of qualifying earlier today, so let's see if we can get there for this Xfinity race. Billy Kramer, thanks for tuning in also. Giving you guys the old shout-outs. When I see cars rolling off of pit road, so we're not going to be too much further away from the start of this race and the drop of the green flag. I believe that the CW booth is in their Charlotte headquarters today. I don't believe that they're actually at the racetrack. 7-turn, 2.45-mile road course layout. A lot of elevation changes. 3 long straightaways, one of the longest in NASCAR being that front and main straightaway past the pit road area of the track. A very steep downhill section into turn 1 with that. Got an alternate restart zone, which was implemented yesterday during the truck race. Try to space the field out a little bit more before they get into turn 1 is the idea of that. We've seen NASCAR move the restart zone back at several other tracks because of that on the road course schedule as well. But new to Watkins Glen this season. So SVG finished 5th in this race a season ago, finished 2nd in the Cup race on Sunday, which is exactly where he qualified for that race for tomorrow. 2nd place position. So no poles this weekend for SVG in either series. Ryan Blaney on the pole for tomorrow's Go Bowling at the Glen. Who will win the Mission 200 at the Glen here today. Pole lap for Connor Zilich earlier this morning was actually quicker than that of the pole lap Ryan Blaney put in the Cup Series by about a full second. Which I'm quite surprised because the downforce in these Xfinity cars and the overall grip level a lot less for them on road courses compared to the modern Cup car at the next gen. So I would expect that mid-corner speeds would be so much faster. for the next-gen car, but apparently not the case. Comment in the chat, for those of you that are in the chat specifically, who are you taking for the win today before this race rolls off? Curious to know. It was a great battle at Sonoma between these two in the closing laps of that race. Van Gisbergen was on the charge on Zilich. They had actually passed each other on track several times throughout the course of the race. Having the track position more late for Zilich's side of things definitely panned out a bit better for him. Steve taking Connor. Jackson Thomas, thanks for tuning in also. Dean Tate taking Connor Zilich as well. Jerry Marty tripling down on the 88. I mean, the chat poll definitely has him being the favorite. 50%. Wow. I can't believe it's that much higher. I mean, I guess he's got the experience of winning here before. You really think about it, Van Gisbergen has not won at Watkins Glen in any car that he has raced on the NASCAR ranks. Second in Cup last year, fifth in Xfinity. Didn't qualify on the pole in either race here this weekend as well. Doesn't seem like he's got the usual SVG advantage we've seen on many other road courses.
Watkins Glen International is a fan's dream, and we got a great day for racing here. Aerial coverage provided by the Lucas Oil helicopter. Qualifying happened earlier today for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We told you in the open, front row goes to Connor Zilich and Shane Van Gisbergen. Now we look at the rest of the drivers starting in the top 10.
Yeah, and right behind those two guys is last week's winner, Sam Mayer. He's going to start fourth. He actually won here back in 2023. And then I would say the best surprise from qualifying earlier today is Kaz Gralla, qualified 8th. He's got 4 career top 5s on the road courses, including a 5th here back in 2022.
Let's jump outside the top 10. And on row 6, starting 12th today, Michael McDowell driving the 11 for Team Colleague. Last time he raced in the Xfinity Series, he won at Road America. Harrison Burton going from row 9 comes in with that final playoff position. He was 5th at Iowa last week.
Yeah, 2 guys going right below the cut line. Jeff Burton had a bad day in Iowa, fell below the cut line. He's going to start in 23rd. And then Ryan Sieg, he's been climbing recently, but he's still 17 points back and has a long ways to come from Adam, rolling off 29th.
You know, one of the great themes of the year is rookie production. And a guy that's been great on the road courses is Christian Eckes. Didn't make a qualifying run. He starts at the rear back there in row 18, involved in an incident late in practice, and that's unfortunate because they had a really fast race car, 2 top 5s on the road this season for the driver from here in New York. And now, our Mobile One keys to victory lane, Jamie.
Well, Adam, the restarts are going to be huge. We talk about it every week. We're going to see the restart zone is actually in a different area this weekend than it was last year. So you got to be good on the restarts. Fuel is always an issue when we come to our road course. He was able to win the race last year for Connor Zilich by saving fuel and then managing your equipment. Anytime we come to our road course, we always see some brake issues. We see part failures from the curbs, the cars jumping up and down. So you got to take care of it if you're going to make it to the end.
Closing on the green flag here at Watkins Glen. Before we go racing, let's hear from our pit reporters one more time. And we start off with Kim Toon. Hey there, Kim.
Hey, Double A. Well, for Austin Green, this is his 7th start of the season. He's got 3 straight finishes of 11th or better in the last 3 starts on road courses. And this is a part-time effort. And there are pluses and minuses to running part-time. In talking with Austin, one of the challenges is he's going to knock the rust off a little bit compared to everyone else when he gets back behind the wheel. because he's not racing every week. On the positive side, though, he did point out that he can still put a lot more focus on the races he's running. He told me when Sonoma ended, that's when he started prepping for this race here at Watkins Glen. He rolls off from the 18th position, Dylan.
And Kim Adam mentioned Michael McDowell in the field in the Colleague Racing number 11 car. Talk about getting back used to these cars. It's been 9 years since he's been behind the wheel of one. So a lot to learn. Differences from the Cup car that he mentioned to me this morning that he was concerned about was going to be wheel hop. And part of that due to the shifting. These Xfinity cars shift differently than the Cup cars. And then the tires are a little different as well. So it changes the handling of these race cars. Michael had some moments in practice where he was still getting acclimated to that wheel hopping situation. So they feel like they got that sorted out a little bit, and he'll be better with the more laps he gets today. But I think if anybody's going to challenge the 88.9, you certainly have to look at the 11 today as those guys.
And someone else that may be laying in the weeds a little bit, another driver from Junior Motorsports, Sammy Smith, qualified 6th earlier today.
All right, man, we ain't gonna be the little boy standing at the top of the water. Run down the execution or window space. That's right. Thank you, Gary.
What an analogy from the crew chief for Sammy Smith to his driver there. Field will be going green this time by Zilich electing the inside lane for row number 1, which we will probably see for a lot of the leaders throughout the course of the day. Especially with the alternate restart zone compared to where we would usually see it at Watkins Glen International. So Connor Zilich, Shane Van Gisbergen. Head-to-head matchup going to start right here with both of them on the front row for the beginning of the race. Green flag is in the air. We're underway in the Mission 200 at the Glen. Easily pulling clear up out of turn number 7 for Connor Zilich. SVG cycled in line in the second place position right there behind him. Side by side for third out of turn 1 now between Sam Mayer and Taylor Gray. Swalch hanging in there for 5th. Justin Allgaier a bit wide through the S's as he's also doubled up side by side with the 11 of not Josh Williams this week, Michael McDowell. Hopefully I don't make that mistake again. Usually it would have been Josh Williams. Curb smoothing out through the bus stop compared to years past for these drivers. So although it is a smoother ride going through there, drivers are always going to try to push the boundaries. A lot of dust was kicked up in traffic in the truck race yesterday coming out of that last little turn in the bus stop. We're going to see that throughout the course of today's race as well as the NASCAR Cup Series race tomorrow. Could lead for visibility problems middle to the back of the pack. So Zilich from the pole will lead the opening lap of today's race. A 73.651 on that first lap. Shane Van Gisbergen still right there behind him. A little bit of a gap back to the third place car of Sam Mayer, who was able to get by Taylor Gray after the first few corners on the opening lap of the race. Back in traffic, Riley Herbst. Not a great qualifying effort in the number 19 car for this weekend. Trying to build an opportunity to make a pass on the Junior Motorsports Chevrolet of Carson Kvapil in the middle of the field. Kind of a couple mini battles, if you will, up inside the top 10. You got that battle for the lead. You got 3 cars under a blanket going for third. And then pretty much everybody else sandwiched from 6th on back through the rest of the top 10. Curious to see who's going to have the fastest lap this time by at the line between Zilich and SVG. And it does look like Zilich was just a little bit quicker, 73.464. To SVG, 73.615. Taylor Gray popping out of line for a brief moment on the end of the front stretch entering turn 1. It was a bluff, though. He moves back in line on that outer lane, but still able to beat Sam Mayer up off the exit of turn 1. Although he didn't try to make the pass going through the corner, he's going to try it through the S's, and he's going to pull clear. So great job done there for Taylor Gray, making quick work of Sam Mayer. And another JGR Toyota of William Sawalich will now try to make the pass on last week's race winner. And now that Gray's got some clean air on the nose of his race car, we'll see what kind of lap times he can have in comparison to the two in front of him. The gap back to third place is already 3 seconds, and it's only the third lap. Justin Allgaier with Nick Sanchez making a little bit of contact into turn 6. Allgaier trying to slip to the outside of the 48. 48 did not really give him much room. That was a setup pass for turn 7. He knew he wasn't going to be able to clear him there, but that gave the inside for Allgaier into 7. And because Sanchez was on the outside of that corner, now Austin Hill in the 21 trying to follow the 7's line and make a pass on the rookie Sanchez as well. Allgaier made the pass for 8th. Austin Hill will complete his end of the pass in turn 1 for 9th. And the door is slammed shut for Sanchez on top of Sheldon Creed in the 0-0. So didn't surrender too many more positions. Some smoke coming out of the back of the 14 of Garrett Smithley at the tail end of the field. And this is going to warrant our first caution of the race, it appears. Possible fluid on the racetrack from Garrett Smithley. Didn't want the leaders to race all the way back around to the same area of the track, just in case there's any oil or any other fluids that have been laid down. So top 5 in the running order has Connor Zilich in the lead. Actually, we do have trouble on the racetrack. It looks like Ryan Sieg. All right, well, that's not what the caution was for. That's why I don't look at the raw feed to dictate exactly how my live commentary is going. I try to call the race in front of me, because when I try to get ahead of myself like I did, the caution's actually for Josh Valicki. In the 91, he got stuck in the gravel pit in turn 6 after battling with Ryan Sieg for position. So he's not going to be able to roll under his own power. Lap 5 will be the timing of the first yellow. After Zilich has led every lap. Looks like Sieg wheel hopped it going into turn 6 on the inside. Tried to make a pass, wheel hop. And when the car got out from underneath him, Valicki was on the outside. Clean Valicki out. That's how Zilich ended up falling a lap down yesterday in the truck race. Still came back to get a top 10 finish. But beached out there in turn 6. Caution comes out. Takes a while for the wreckers to get all the way over to that area of the racetrack and pull them away from the gravel pit. So again, top 5, Connor Zilich in the lead, Shane Van Gisbergen in 2nd, Taylor Gray 3rd, Sam Mayer 4th, William Sawalich rounds out the top 5 in 5th. Earl Arnold Jr., JoJo, welcome back into the stream. Stream number 2 on the day. 29 likes already in the early going of today's live commentary coverage of the Mission 200 at the Glen. Chris Davis pulling for Chevy. A lot of Chevys in the Xfinity field compared to the other manufacturers. Strong ones today as well, wheeling those top 2 positions of the 88 and the 9. Xfinity Series regulars at JGR have gotten a win yet this season. Only Eric Almirola with a win for Toyota at the Xfinity level this season, and that came at Phoenix early in the year. I lied, Brandon Jones also has a win at Darlington. It slipped my memory for a quick second. Those are the only 2 wins for JGR this season. We usually see them go to victory lane quite often in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Frank Powers, thanks for tuning in. You're a diehard Chevy guy? Well, I'm a Ford guy. You probably wouldn't like me saying that, but I appreciate you tuning in. And we can all like our own stuff, all right? I've just been a Ford guy because of watching NASCAR from a young kid. Greg Biffle was always my favorite driver growing up, so it's not really the car manufacturer itself, I guess. I mean, that's translated me into, as an adult, I've only ever driven Fords as like my primary vehicle ever since high school. My first car was gosh, I don't know what year it was. I think it was 94 Ford Explorer. It was old. Had over 200,000 miles on it. I had it for about 6 months, and then the head gasket blew out. I got it from my mom's boss at the time because he didn't want to use it anymore because he probably knew how beaten down and battered it was. Paid a couple $100 for it. Lasted me about 6 months. Then the head gasket blew. Then I had to get another car. But that was by technicality my first vehicle. It was not a dependable vehicle. I literally only took it to work and school. And I was coming home from work one night. I got to the one stoplight in the small town I grew up in, and it just started smoking everywhere. I was like, all right, just get me to my house. Got to the house, and then the next day I went to fire it back up again, and yeah, it was just nothing but puffy white smoke everywhere. That's all she wrote. Bones does, thanks for tuning in. Chevy guy, because your dad was. Yeah, there's definitely some, that has probably a lot to do with it with a lot of people. Family oriented as to what, manufacturer they prefer over another. It's my Mustang souped up. It's not souped up, but I still like it. I tell people it's a V6, they kind of crap on me for it, but I love it, all right? That's all that matters.
Race 23, 2025, the NASCAR Xfinity Series brings us to Watkins, Glen, New York. Caution comes out 5 laps in. Ryan Sieg, Josh Bilicki get together running outside the top 25.
We'll take another look right here. We talked about Sieg. He came on the radio and said he will hop. That's what it looks like. You're going to see the back of the car get a little bit loose right there, and he's just trying to catch it. Nothing malicious or intentional right there. Josh Bilicki just wrong place at the right time. And, wheel hop is an issue here. That's not the corner that sticks out to me that we would see it the most. Turn 1 typically is where you see the most wheel hop because of it being a downhill angle.
Yeah, let's get an update. 39's been down the pit lane, Kim.
Yeah, after that wheel hopping incident on the pit lane, they changed all 4 tires and checked that right front fender just to make sure all the clearances were good and there was no significant damage. And when I talked to Crew Chief Matt Noyce this morning, their goal was to survive, and he said he just can't bleed points. They've had 3 great weeks of racing up until this weekend. Now, it's still early. We don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse. A lot of racing left here at Watkins Glen, but certainly not the start they wanted as they're trying to hold on to that points position.
It's the give and take at this time of year. They were 50 points out a month ago. Kim mentions the 3 weeks they had. The last few weeks have been outstanding for the 39. Picks up 33 points to the cut. Came in today, 17 points out. And you saw there now as they run 35 out. But what I would say, and I said this going to break, they stay on the lead lap, which is huge. And I've always talked about this road racing. Never write anyone off, because sometimes misfortune on track can lead to a strategy opportunity later, and so a whole lot can play out in these races. You just have to stay in the game.
Well, we saw it last year with Connor Zilich, right? I mean, he went through the bus stop with a couple other guys, and because of that, he got off strategy, was able to save enough fuel, and even though he had the fastest car, that strategy helped him be able to win the race.
Bilicki goes a lap down, as we talked about being stuck in the gravel trap, but he's the only car 1 lap down. 13 laps to go in the stage. Then you get a caution. He could get the free pass right there.
And you see those 2 white lines. That is the restart zone where these guys, where Connor Zilich will be able to accelerate. Once he gets to the first line, he can take off, and they'll throw the green flag once they get to the second one.
And once you get out of the restart zone, it's on. You can pads, change lanes, do whatever you want to do.
And Shane was a little more aggressive. You see they're going to race down into turn 1. It'll be interesting to see what they choose to do when they get to this point.
Side by side, turn 1.
Yeah, Zilich gave him enough room. You see Shane's going to have the momentum on the outside. It's so rough up there, though. Yeah, I was saying Allison there to turn 2 in the S's. Oh, but he stayed on his. Look at that. Now Shane's going to be at the preferred groove. They can run side by side here. We'll see what they do when they get to the bus stop. You see Williams and Wallace trying to sneak to the inside. It's going to be interesting to see how aggressive these guys are going to be.
If you're side by side at the bus stop, it's just a game of chicken. And there goes Sawallich jumping to second.
Yeah, I think a little bit of that was probably the draft. You know, where the 9 maybe had to check up at a certain point to the top of the S's, and then the 18 had the momentum coming off of that corner. Amazing run for the 18 right here. Good restart for Williams.
You know, you had talked earlier today to crew chief Jeff Membry, who calls the shots for Sawallich, and he just talked about what they've done recently. And he said, I've got a different driver. His confidence is all for him to be up there mixing it up with Zilich and Van Gisbergen. It just speaks to where he is with that mindset.
And Adam, the words said a lot, but it was the tone of his voice that really stuck out to me. It was genuine, and he could tell that they're in a better place than where they were. And he talked about knowing some of the mistakes that William made earlier in the year were expected because of him being a rookie. Well, is Riley going to get slowed down?
Come on, that was a great show when I did it there. There's 19 and 11 this weekend, Michael McDowell.
Yeah, and that's an aggressive move because you know McDowell, good road racer, going to bury it off in the corner. He's a hard guy to be able to outbreak. And you saw Riley start having a little bit of a wheel hop right there. See if he can reset or head back down towards the bus stop. You see McDowell up ahead of him, trying to look inside and who's in front of him. 18's got his hands full right here. You see Shane getting his inside, coming out of that carousel. It's such a, I mean, honestly, I know William wants to be in front of him, but you race the whole time out of your mirror, right? Because you have Van Gisbergen behind you who you know is quick. You want to be in front of him, but it's just, it's so hard to race on the defense.
Well, Sawallich is Zilich's best friend now because he's holding up Gisbergen a little bit, and he can scoot. It's something he didn't do in the opening run, and now the 9 is able to get back by the 18. SVG second, but a good start to this race for Sawallich.
Yeah, and you mentioned it's a general confidence and that's it helps William according to his searching hit misery. And when he's able to do that, and you know the truck series, they're in the truck series race yesterday, and Jeff said that just helps them unload in such a better window and just get up to speed so much quicker. The other thing too that's especially poignant here, Jack his coach, who is a Gibson driver in the Toyota family, has won here at Watkins Glen as well. He is a superstar on the road courses, so having somebody like him in Williams' corner, definitely a big plus.
Oh, I think that's going to be a huge benefit for William. It doesn't really matter which form of racing you come from. The basics of road racing are all very similar. And the fact that he has history at this track tells you a lot. He's going to know the bumps. He's going to know, the landmarks that you look for. As you see, this guy's cutting through the dirt right there. Austin Green getting to the inside of Carson Quapple. Quapple's going to be okay, though. He's going to have the momentum on the outside and going to be on the preferred side of the racetrack when they get down to turn 6.
Austin Green through the 32. The 1, as you said, is Quapple Racing. The 25, that's Harrison Burton. Burton having a good start.
Oh.
Triple 6, 42.
Yeah, I did a really good job. They paved a little bit more of that, which allows those guys to have a spin and be able to keep going. You see Thomas Annunziata spun around and was able to get started back up. And Quapple, they're not done yet. You see Dean Thompson coming in, wanting a bit of that action as well.
Dean Thompson seeing this place for the very first time, and he's got a teammate this weekend worth noting, and that's Cass Rockler, who's had a good start to the weekend. Dropped to 15th after qualifying inside the top 10. Well, everybody getting after it. This is a hot spot early, turn 6.
Yeah, it looked like Annunziata did a little bit of wheel hop there as well. And you see all those guys, they're just trying to get what they can get. You get on the inside and you get on the brakes. So once it starts wheel hopping, that happens a lot. But if it was on your outside, you just move on. You miss the corner a little bit. When you have a car directly on your outside, they go along for the ride with you.
It's so entertaining here, and we watched practice and qualifying earlier when you're out there by yourself, basically, and the hustle is real. But then you put everyone out there together, and at times there's just not enough room to work. And when you hustle the car and you have others around you, it makes for some very interesting moments.
I think that's a great word to use, Adam, because in my time of being in the car, I remember when Marcus Ambrose first came out, and I remember coming out of the bus stop, and I thought I was hustling the car as much as I could, and he was able to get more out of it. And I remember in my mind thinking, I can't do that. Like, I don't know how he is able to hustle slide the car and still keep control of it and run that speed. And we see the same thing out of the Zilich or Van Gisbergen. They're just able to get that little bit extra out of the car.
You mentioned Ambrose. He's one of the best to do it. 4 wins here at Watkins Glen. We can raise the bar, but the bar's at a whole new level now. And the guys that are running the show, Connor Zilich, Shane Van Gisbergen, 88 ahead of the curve. And he is now out front at Watkins Glen.
Zilich has about a 2.5-second lead over Shane Van Gisbergen. William Sawalich is in third. Fourth place is Sam Mayer, and Taylor Gray rounds out the top 5 in fifth. Sixth is Justin Allgaier, Sammy Smith in seventh, Austin Hill eighth, Sheldon Creed ninth, and Nick Sanchez rounds out the top 10. Michael McDowell in 11th, Riley Herbst 12th, Jesse Love 13th, Brandon Jones 14th, Kaz Gralla 15th, 16th Austin Green, Harrison Burton 17th, Carson Quapple 18th, Dean Thompson 19th, and 20th is Parker Retzlaff. Daniel Dye 21st, Jeb Burton 22nd, Kyle Sieg 23rd, Christian Eckes 24th, Brendan Poole 25th, Ryan Sieg 26th, Matt DiBenedetto 27th, Stephen Parsons 28th, Ryan Ellis 29th, and 30th is Jeremy Clements. Blaine Perkins 31st, Austin J. Hill 32nd, Anthony Alfredo 33rd, Glenn Reen 34th, Thomas Annunziata 35th, Josh Malicki 36th, Preston Pardis 37th, and Garrett Smithley rounds out the 38-car field. Smithley had that smoking issue with his race car about 9 laps ago. I don't believe he has returned to the racetrack since. So he is in the garage area and maybe deemed done for the afternoon. Taylor Gray, who was in third place off the initial start of the race, has now fallen to 6th. He just got passed by Justin Allgaier. Allgaier moves into the top 5 for the first time. Michael McDowell still hanging around, right around where he qualified in 11th. Riley Herbst, who started 16th, is up to 12th. Slowly moving forward. H. Holly D, by the way, thanks for tuning in. I saw you saying you're rooting for Kaz Gralla today. Gralla back to 15th, qualifying inside the top 10, slipping back at the Sam Hunt Racing Toyota here in the early laps of the race. Should have some green flag pit stops coming up pretty shortly. Pit road closes with 2 laps to go in the stage when the race leader gets to the start-finish line. Might see a lot of these front runners not necessarily going for the points. Connor Zilich is in a weird spot, though. He's battling for the regular season championship with that of Sam Mayer and Justin Allgaier. All 3 of those drivers are in the top 5. Mayer in 4th, Allgaier 5th. Sammy Smith battling with Austin Hill inside the top 10. Hill's going to hold on to that position for 7th. I'll tell you what, I've been having the urge to hold back a sneeze for the longest time, so if you keep seeing me touch my face, that is why. I'm toughing it out over here. I don't know what's going on. My allergies have been kicking my tail today. I feel like it's gotten worse as the day has gone on, because during practice and qualifying earlier, I didn't feel as weird, I guess, as I do now during the Xfinity race, but sorry for that if I feel a little bit or sound a little bit stuffed up. Zilich just keeps putting lap time on Shane Van Gisbergen, 3.6 seconds now. He's just kind of consistently a couple tenths quicker a lap. Over the course of 15 laps, that adds up. Which is how far we are into stage 1. Some of those laps under caution. Only 2 laps for that yellow. Getting Josh Malicki out of the gravel pit in turn 6. We saw an on-track incident where a couple more cars got together a couple laps into this most recent restart. Luckily, they were able to stay out of the gravel pit. We stayed green. No major damage to cause any sort of debris yellows out of it either. It was Anthony Alfredo and Thomas Annunziata who got together following the restart. 4 laps to go in stage 1 this time by at the line. Zilich's fastest lap is still that 73.376. Zilich was exactly 0.3 of a second quicker than Shane Van Gisbergen in that last lap. And if we look at any sort of tire fall off right now, Zilich only about 0.7 of a second off his fastest lap of the race. And that is through 14 completed green flag laps. Allgaier, since getting by Taylor Gray, has not really been able to pull away from him in the 5th spot. And again, we're going to have to wait and see who's going to try to go for those stage points. I would imagine Mayer, Allgaier, one of them, if not both, are going to stay out. That's my prediction. And I'm curious to see if the 88 does the same. The pace that Zilich has right now, I'd like to think it's that much better than SVG. Is SVG maybe showing all of his cards right now as well? That could probably be the case, that he's saving for later. Part of that gap between the top two was the fact that Sawalch was able to get to second on the restart because of a failed pass attempt in the Esses by SVG trying to get by Zilich for the then lead. Sawalch was able to utilize the draft behind the 88 car in line leading into the bus stop and get into second place for about a half a lap or so, and that bought Zilich a couple seconds of a lead. By the time SVG had gotten into second place, he was already a second and a half back. And now the gap is nearly 5 seconds. 3 laps to go in stage 1 this time by. We're going to see a heavy workload of drivers coming into the pits this time. Shane Van Gisbergen is going to be one of those cars on the pit road.
Bergen's going to green flag pit stop for Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yep, he's going to come in, get his tires and fuel now.
Here's the 9, Dylan.
Yeah, he is the very first pit box off pit road here. Car started tight in the left-handers and loose in the right, but it migrated to, as he said, very loose on entry and exit. They will change 4 tires here. It looks like they've got a wrench to make a chassis adjustment as well. William Sawallich said that he was tight at the start of this run, but the car was coming to him. Let me get your breath right here.
As you see on the right side of your screen, Sam Mayer, last week's winner, also a former winner here at Watkins, Glen, snow brick, chassis, the front tires. The car's also loose. They've been inviting him to back up the corner and telling him he's got the same mid-quarter speed at the leaders. Austin Green in over right side of your screen. Overall grip he's looking for.
So you pit now, and a whole host of drivers are doing it. The thought process is by pitting now, getting your service, caution comes out into the stage. Anyone who comes down after the caution comes out, you'll leapfrog them as we begin the second stint of the race.
I would expect the race leader, Connor Zilich, to come to pit road this time. He's slowing up. He definitely will. Justin Allgaier is about 11 seconds back in second. I think he's going to stay out. Sam Mayer did pit. Save for William Sawallich, who were in the top 5 beforehand.
Here's the race leader, Kim.
That's right. Talking with crew chief Marty Lindley, he said he was up at night trying to figure out any way possible to earn stage points at stages and win the race. He said they just seasoned out there, so our play is going to be to stop on lap 18. He told them this morning. Right now, Connor, no major overall complaints at the very end before he came down the road. He did say he was tight in the high-speed parts of the racetrack. They'll take 4 Friendly tires and Sunoco fuel.
You watch the track map. 88 on pit road, 9 coming through turn 6, then to turn 7. 88 going to exit. He'll maintain his positioning in front of Shane Van Gisbergen. And the question becomes, with the driver...
Zilich was the only car on the pit road that time. So Justin Allgaier is going to stay out. He's going to get some stage points and a playoff point for winning the stage. He's about 1.2 seconds ahead of Taylor Gray, who also stayed out of the pits. It looks like Connor Zilich is in 10th place as of where he cycled. Everybody that is in front of him in the running order did not pit. And kind of expected him to clearly stay in front of Van Gisbergen, considering he had a 5-second gap over him. Even SVG pitting 1 lap before Zilich. The fall off was less than a full second a lap. Final lap now for Justin Allgaier. And Taylor Gray was actually quicker than Allgaier that last lap by. What was about a 1.2 second difference is about 0.4 of a second through the S's. Gray having to battle through the dirty air portion, and probably the worst area of the track where you'll have that dirty air problem is going through the S's. Now he'll try to utilize the draft down the last couple of longer straightaways, first into the bus stop. Gray pretty aggressive getting through the bus stop, and he is all over the back of Allgaier into the carousel now. A lot of time gained by Taylor Gray through that section of the racetrack. Out of turn 5. 2 more corners to go. A left-hander in turn 6. A right-hander in turn number 7. I don't know if Allgaier got loose because he was trying to put the power down to the gas a little too soon, or if the 54 tagged the back bumper out of turn 5 on Allgaier, but Justin sliding sideways holds on to the lead. Played enough defense through turns 6 and 7. Will hold on there as well. Justin Allgaier will win stage 1 at Watkins Glen today. Taylor Gray 2nd, Sheldon Creed 3rd, Nick Sanchez 4th, and Jesse Love will round out the top 5 in 5th. 6th for Harrison Merton, Dean Thompson 7th, Parker Retzlaff 8th, Ryan Sieg 9th, and Matt DiBenedetto rounds out the top 10. So when Zilich actually got up to speed after leaving pit road, he was 15th. And SVG was in 21st. William Sawalich actually cycled off of pit road ahead of Van Gisbergen. So assuming everybody that did not hit pit road before the end of stage 1 does during the stage break, then it will be Zilich, Sawalich, and SVG, the top 3. Mayer 4th. And again, that is if everybody hits pit road. May see some drivers try to stay out. We'll see how that works out for them. Ten regular season points for Allgaier to 0 for Zilich. They came in with a deadlock tie. Mayer gets 0 with hitting before the end of the stage as well. So Allgaier will have the regular season points lead entering stage 2. That's stage win number 8 on the season for Allgaier. With his 3 race wins, he is up to 23 playoff points. 3 races remaining in the regular season after today's event. Xfinity Series will be off next weekend at Richmond, and they will be back on a Friday night, Daytona, the following week. Got back-to-back Saturday night races for the Cup Series coming up. Richmond next weekend, and Daytona for the regular season finale the week after that. Trucks will be on for Friday night next week at Richmond. And trucks will be off when the Xfinity and Cup Series go to Daytona for their Friday, Saturday show. Anyone gone to a road course race? I've been to a few. I've been to a couple IndyCar races. I was at Mid-Ohio a couple of years ago. 2020. Gotta think of what year it was. I think it was 2022. I think it was the same year I went to the Indy 500. I believe it was the same year. And then I saw them run at the Indianapolis road course the year before that in 2021, which was the first year that the NASCAR race was there. So, yeah, Mid-Ohio I've been to 3 times now. I've seen a truck, an Xfinity, and an IndyCar race there. Indianapolis road course, I'll count twice, but all for the same weekend with IndyCar and then the Xfinity race on the Saturday, Sunday for the Cup race. I was at Road America also in 2021, only for the Cup race. Watkins Glen in 2019 for the Cup race, and the Roval in 2019 in Charlotte. So purpose-built road courses, I've only been to 3 of them. But, yeah, I've been to several road course races. As far as watching on TV, it's vastly different from oval racing. I can still remember the first time I went to Watkins Glen in 2019. It was fun, but it was a different, I don't know, it was so different. I'd been to probably 10 NASCAR races before that in person at several different racetracks, and they were all ovals, obviously. So then going to Watkins Glen that first time, I still had a lot of fun. That area of the country is really nice, too. Big mountainy area. The track is literally in the mountains. Again, TV doesn't do it justice. It looks flat on TV. I can tell you it is not. It is very, very hilly. The track is in the mountains. And it's cool the way they race basically through it. It's almost like the regular roads, really. It doesn't feel any different. It's just enclosed in this circuit.
And Adam, yeah, how about a little stage one recap for all the action that we saw? A couple cautions brought out, but let's get to the start of this race. We had Zilich and SVG, of course, leading the field with Green. Connor Zilich getting the advantage here very early on in the race. And then, yeah, just 4 laps in, we had field off here with Josh Balicki and Ryan City. That's going to bring out that caution. They're still able to continue on in the race, though. Again, a big battle here between the 9 and the 88. Zilich able to keep the lead, and that's going to take a lot for stage 1. Anthony Alfredo also coming in here in a note that we saw here for Thomas and Luciano, both of those cars taken out here. But then, of course, toward the end of this one, a lot of the big players flipping the stage. So we had Taylor Gray trying to get the advantage over Justin Allgaier, but it's the 7th that gets the stage win. As Ashley said early in, that is the 8th stage victory for the number 7 Adam.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Allgaier just finds a way, and a nice playoff point there helps the stage points. Will help when you look at the regular season chase, and a good start today for Allgaier. That's the good news. You know, the bad news is now
He's got to make a pit stop.
yeah, you got to pay your
Right.
debt now. You
That's
come
right.
down and make a pit stop, and you lose a lot of that track position. All those drivers that hadn't made pit stops will come down here. Top 14 had not been on the pit lane. Progressive pit road is open, and it's going to be busy, Dylan.
Yeah, Sheldon Creed able to go from 11th to 3rd at the end of stage 1. He'll peel off right here in the 00. Overall, pretty happy with his race car. Only request was just for a little bit more drive off the corner. They've been really pleased overall with the balance all day today, though, Kim.
Justin Allgaier actually a debate on whether or not to leave him out. Jeff Pullman said, "Do you think you can hang on?" Ultimately deciding to bring him down. He said he needed help with forward drive. Just a little tight through the apex as they put 4 fresh Goodyear tires on. Left side of your screen, Taylor Gray. Overall, the car is good 10-4 high, so they did take some tape off at the front of that grill.
We get the race off Progressive pit road, and this is going to be big when you talk about the reset and where you want to be track position guys behind those drivers that had flipped the stage. Allgaier holds serve. Great effort for Harrison Burton, who goes +4. Creed, Sanchez, Thompson, the rest of those drivers coming off the top 5, and will reset where they go in the running order when we come back in a moment. First, though, we look at what fuels Nick Sanchez, brought to you by our friends at Sunoco.
Every weekend's an opportunity to win, opportunity to learn, and I just love the act of racing. So for me, the challenge is going to a place I've never seen before and trying to execute it. That's pretty fun in a race car.
It starts with self.
I did notice that Taylor Gray had a very slow pit stop. He was 2nd at the end of stage 1. And unfortunately for him, he was slow out of the box, at least. I'm not sure if it was all in the pit crew. He definitely had a couple of guys pushing him. Could have stalled out in his pit box. Whatever the case was, he was one of the last cars to roll off of the pit lane. I have to wait for our leaderboard update to see exactly where he's going to be running. But between that and then guys flipping the stage, Taylor Gray's going to be much further back in the running order than guys like Allgaier, who stayed out to get the stage points as well. So that's going to hurt for Taylor Gray and his opportunity to get even more stage points in this next stage if he were to stay out again, being further back in the running order for the restart. He's definitely going to have a heavy workload in stage 2 to try to get whatever track position back he can. And again, Connor Zilich will be the leader for the next restart. He was in 15th, first of the running order of those that had pitted before the end of stage 1. The leaderboard only updates when the race leader gets to the start-finish line to begin the next lap, so that's why it's still a little bit off here. Actually, no, I think it is updated now. Allgaier back at 14th. So top 13 stayed out, flipped the stage. Connor Zilich will be the leader. William Sawalich second. Shane Van Gisbergen in third. And Sam Mayer fourth. Austin Hill fifth. Sammy Smith will be sixth. Brandon Jones seventh. Michael McDowell eighth. Kaz Grella ninth. Carson Quapple 10th. Austin Green 11th. Daniel Dye 12th. We'll take a quick break here while we await the beginning of Stage 2. You're listening live to the NASCAR Xfinity Series Mission 200 on KRC. Henry, yes, sir. I am a Michigan Wolverine. I live in the Toledo, Ohio area. I live closer to Ann Arbor than what I do Columbus. It's about 2 hours for me to get to Columbus, and it's a little under an hour and a half to get to Ann Arbor. Same thing with like most of my favorite professional sports teams. They're based out of Detroit. I live closer to Detroit than I do Cleveland. It's easier to go to games up there. So I've always been a Tigers fan. My whole family's been, Detroit fans as well. I got the Tigers hat on today, actually. Still leading the division. They're on a little bit of a slide right now, but yeah, I'm up in Detroit a lot. I was just up there for Monday Night Raw a couple weeks ago. A couple Tigers games this year. It's like a once every other month, I'm going up there for some kind of a sporting event or concert or something. A little less than an hour, 15-minute drive for me to get to Detroit. That's on a bad traffic day, too, so. Hour and a half plus to get to Cleveland. Brett Whitesides, welcome to the stream.
Sports coverage of the NASCAR Xfinity Series is brought to you by Blue Chew. Skip the pit stops.
Getting ready for Stage 2 of the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Watkins, Glen. Amy McMurray, Xander. Everything is cycled through on the stops here, so we look at our Mobile One Victory Lane leaderboard. Zilich back out front. Sawalich, Van Gisbergen, Mayer, Austin Hill, the top five. You have to slide back to 21st to find Taylor Gray. Now, some of the loss in track position is because they stayed out, ran it long in the stage, but they actually lost 6 spots on pit road. They just stalled the engine pulling away, Jamie.
Yeah, and as you watch, they drop the injector. He's got to make a hard left turn to not hit the car in front of him, but he stalls the car here. And it's a really tall first gear. So if you've ever driven a standard transmission and tried to take off at second gear, that's kind of the sensation that you have here at Watkins Glen. You got to really get the engine revved up. You want to get those rear tires spinning. And it looks like it just stalled and had to restart it. The crew pushed that, but it did cost him some time.
Too fast exiting. Riley Herbst in the 1931 team. Blaine Perkins over the wall too soon. Free pass here. Second caution of the day goes to Josh Bilicki, who got caught in the gravel in that first caution of the afternoon. Justin Allgaier wins the stage, gets his pit work, going to restart 14th. This is a dangerous time when you're in traffic after the cyclist stops. His teammate Connor Zilich in charge as we begin Stage 2.
And you see Van Gisbergen right there behind Connor Zilich on the inside. We're going to hope that they've made the right adjustments to that car. You get really loose though on that turn. That's a lot of ground to those guys. That's exactly what Zilich wanted to see, to not have the 9 car right behind him. And those S's they're so fast, and it doesn't look like a big deal to run side by side through there, but that section of the racetrack right there with the armco barrier on each side, it's one of the fastest sensations you have inside of a car. You're having to upshift to 4th gear, driving with one hand. Super fast sensation inside the car.
There are some locations on this track that's where it just feels so narrow based on the camera angle. The bus stop is always a tough spot. Look at the dirt flying.
And you do not want to be on the outside right here of this carousel. The first groove is to be on the inside. That's where the most grip is. See these guys all trying to sort it out. You've got a lot of different strategies going on here, different speed cars that were quick at the beginning that went back because they had flipped the stage. The cars that maybe weren't quite as quick that are a little further up now.
Okay. Give and take a strategy. And here we are entering the bus stop. 10 is Daniel Dye. The 11 is teammate Michael McDowell.
That's the worst guy to have come in contact with.
Thomas Annunziata around for the second time. A little damage there.
Yeah, that's big contact right here. This is a turn 7.
No caution. He's able to drive away, get right to pit road.
Yeah, doesn't look like he put any fluids down, so we'll stay green here.
He was running 30th when that happened. Good road racer. 2 years in a row, he's experienced disappointment in Watkins Glen. Last year, he overheated, had to get out of the race car.
Yeah, and you see the one car right there behind Daniel Dye. Pulls the line. I don't think he had a run, but there's 2 reasons that you do that. One is you pull out just to get some cool air on the brakes to keep them cooler as they tend to overheat when you get into a longer run. The other is just trying to fake somebody out. Make them think that you're there, even if you're not. Maybe give you a room, or maybe it messes your corner up.
Just behind this group, 16 outside the top 15 there. And 17th is Christian Eckes. One of those drivers that flipped the stage and has gained some track position early. Pop back inside the top 10, top 5. Sammy Smith 4th, Van Gisbergen 5th. Brandon Jones having a good start to this day. The Joe Gibbs race driver is 7th. That fluorescent number 20.
You gotta wonder if there wasn't some damage to the 9 car and the issue he had right at the end of practice. I know he was still able to qualify well. Just look at Allgaier moving really high, really wide there at turn 1. Probably got in there and wheel hopped a little bit, trying to make up that ground from staying out of the stage and losing his track position.
When you talk about the disadvantage of going back into traffic after running it long and taking the points, he pays his debt. And now, as you said, has lost some track position. It all nets out not where he was after the cycle was completed. Got some pretty good drivers behind him. Austin Green gets to the next. Harrison Burton once again delivering in the 25.
Yeah, you see Harrison's going to try to get inside right there of Austin Green. Take a look here at what happened to Thomas and Etsigano. You said, I don't know. There had to be some contact there. On board here with Riley Herbst to see if we get a better perspective. What happened today? It's hard to tell if there had any contact though to spin that quick and the back end of the wall. We'll take a look at Allgaier right here. You see Daniel Dye moved up just a little bit. I don't think he realized that Allgaier had that momentum coming on the outside, and Justin just had to take action so he didn't run into the back of the 10 car.
So much to manage here as a driver.
I mean, a lot's happened in the last
And all that, comes out pretty good when you consider how bad that could have been. He's 13th. Zilich leads Sawalich, Mayer, Van Gisbergen, and Austin Hill in the top 5.
A lot of action still to go in today's NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Watkins Glen. Our top 10 currently has Connor Zilich in the race lead, William Sawalich in 2nd, Sam Mayer 3rd, Shane Van Gisbergen 4th, and Austin Hill rounding out the top 5 and 5th. 6th place is Sammy Smith and Brandon Jones in 7th, Michael McDowell 8th, Kaz Grella 9th, Carson Kvapil rounds out the top 10. Some damage. It looked like the left front tire was flat on the 31 of Blaine Perkins. He made his way to pit road. We still continue to stay green. Not sure who he made contact with or what he may have made contact with to cause that tire failure. But he definitely had some damage on the left side of his race car. Could have came from these early laps following the restart. So with Connor Zilich in the race lead, William Sawalich is 2.7 seconds back in that 2nd spot. A 4-second gap to Sam Mayer in 3rd, and SVG 5.7 seconds off the lead in 4th. For 50 minutes into cautions, the lap 20 stage end, and the caution at lap 5 for Josh Malicki stuck in the gravel pit after contact and a spin with Ryan Sieg. Had 6 lead changes already, a lot of those taking place during the green flag pit stops and the pit stops under caution. Zilich has led all the green flag laps today, minus the 2 at the end of the first stage where Justin Allgaier had stayed out of the pits and was able to get the stage 1 win. 24 laps led so far out of 29 for Zilich and counting. So we'll see who's going to stay out and try to get the stage win this time around. Will it be Justin Allgaier again? I'm sure he would take it. If he can outscore 20-0 on both Mayer and Zilich in the stages, again, boost his chances of trying to get back out ahead for the regular season championship battle. He gets a halfway decent finish, 15th, top 10, and he's going to gain some significant points on even Zilich if Zilich, say, goes on to win the race, but with no stage points. It'd be 40 points for the race win for Zilich, but you know, Allgaier could get up into the 30s in his place points and then also have another 20 stage points to go with it. It's pretty solid. Zilich has just been in a league of his own today. Even when SVG was in second, towards the end of that first stage before the green flag pit stops, he was about 0.3 of a second quicker lap at the most ahead of the 9. Halfway through the second stage with where we stand right now.
Closed captioning for this race brought to you by Tableau TV. Pay once, watch forever.
Forever.
Ryan Elks, 71, carrying the Tableau colors this weekend. Watkins, Glen. Been a good partner for him. Hear him doing the radio spots. Great for the driver out of Virginia who got his first career top 10 earlier this season. Driving for a great team this weekend. Mario Goslin had 2 top 10s here last year with Josh Balicki and Ross Chastain. The focus this afternoon has been the 88 of Connor Zilich. Started on the pole, dominated early, flipped the stage, so he gave up the stage win, lost the lead, but he's led 25 laps so far. And when he's not been out front, it's been his teammates. Allgaier led 3, won the stage. When he ran it long, Van Gisbergen has a lap led today. The other lap today led by William Sawalitz, Joe Gibbs Racing. 9 to go. Stage 2, and just like stage 1, stage 2, 20 laps in race.
Yeah, we're being told that they told the 88 to start saving some fuel, and it's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do. You know, at this next stage break, all these guys will have that same decision to make, but the 88 can run almost a second faster than William Sawallick right now when he wants to push. It was the same thing last year. Adam, you know, they told him to save fuel, and he was still the fastest car on the racetrack. So whatever he's able to do inside the car and save fuel, he's done a great job of it. It doesn't seem to cost a lot of lap time. He definitely has a knack. I know he's talked about this being his favorite racetrack, but he has a knack for being able to save fuel and still maintain a great lap time.
Been a great track for Sam Mayer as well. He's third now.
Yeah, but something of interest, let's take a look at Sam Mayer's tire. This came off at that stop on lap 17. It's the left front. You see a blister in the middle of that tire. I checked with the team. They said the complete surprise. Sam had said nothing on the radio about feeling something in the race car. They said because of that, it's likely a bad tire, maybe heat related. Something to keep in mind though, with the number of right-hand turns, they're leaning on the left side tires a lot more. But he was seriously was like a tire issue. His teammate, Sheldon Freed, also with an issue, Dylan.
That's right. There was also on the left front, interesting is talking with their team. They thought it may have been related to being on the brakes while going over the curves. So we hear that a lot. And as you try to conserve your equipment here to stay off of those curves, they thought that maybe getting into the bus stop would be one of the areas where you're on the brakes and using a lot of curve. And it basically just peeled that part of the tire off that you see right there. So interesting that it was both of the Haas cars. Not a huge concern, at least according to the team, that it's going to happen again, but something just to watch for both these cars.
Yeah, Dylan, you said it. I mean, what sticks out to me is that if that were 2 different teams, you might say defective tire or an issue, but the fact that they both come from the same organization, probably set up very similar. Tell me it could be a setup thing. Probably it looks like a lot of heat. Those tires, it was interesting because they looked brand new still with the mold mark on them, but they were blistered there. Be interesting to see what happens later in the race for those guys.
Going to be 7 laps to go, stage 2 for Connor Zilich this time around. Will drivers pit prior to the end of the stage? We'll find out next on CW.
Closed captioning for today's race.
Now the commercial break here on the CW. Connor Zilich with a 4.7 second lead over William Sawallic, 5.6 seconds to Sam Mayer in third, 6 seconds to Shane Van Gisbergen in fourth, and Austin Hill 7.1 seconds off the lead in fifth. Sammy Smith is 10.2 seconds back in sixth, 10.5 seconds to Brandon Jones in seventh, Michael McDowell 11.7 seconds back in eighth, Carson Quapple in ninth is 11.9 seconds off the leader, 12.6 seconds the deficit to Sheldon Creed in 10th. Most positions gained from the restart. Riley Herbst up 15 spots after having to restart the tail end of the lead lap. Nobody else has gained double-digit positions. 6 spots for Sheldon Creed. All guys are only up 3 after winning the first stage. I'd say a vast majority of the running order staying stagnant from where they once were. Lap 34 of 82 in today's event. Almost a 5-second lead here for Zilich over Sawalich. Just kind of maintaining that gap at this point. I could see there being the strategy plan here for Zilich and that 88 team to stay out, get stage points, and then pit as soon as the fuel window opens in stage 3, which would be within the first 10 laps or so. Because he'll definitely have enough fuel to go that far. So that is why his team has been telling him to kind of manage fuel as much as he can while maintaining that gap over second. Nice to build that gap first. And again, now he's got that 4.6 to 4.7 seconds to just kind of sit with it. Chat poll will end at the end of stage 2. We're up to 79 votes. We're at 25 in the pre-race, so appreciate you guys voting. The poll's gotten a lot closer between SVG and Connor Zilich. Zilich had about 50% of the votes earlier, and despite the fact he's led the most laps today, and SVG has yet to lead, it's only a 4% difference between those two now. I still imagine we're going to see quite a few pit stops at the end of stage 2. But I don't think we're going to see as many green flag stops as what we had back in stage 1, like I mentioned already, because of the kind of field situation we're looking at to get to the end of the race on one more stop. If you pit before the end of the stage, you're guaranteed you're going to have to pit at least one more time. We'll not be able to make it on fuel all the way to the end for 42 laps. Not on a road course around this 2.45 mile racetrack, that's for sure. SVG is caught up to Sam Mayer, battles for third place between the 9 and the 41. SVG pulling out a line into the first turn, looking to the inside of Mayer. He's going to get there. Up off the exit corner, a little bit of contact. SVG kind of door slammed the 41 just a bit. Not too egregious, but up out of line goes Mayer. SVG drives on, and Van Gisbergen up to third. It's about 1 second off of Sawalich for second place. SVG, by the way, the only driver in the top 5 who did not run his fastest lap of the race in stage 2. Actually, is the only driver in the top 10 who has not ran his fastest lap of the race in this second stage. So maybe going the wrong way on adjustments. And we'll have to see what kind of adjustments they can make on this next stop as to if they can do anything to get that car more to the liking for Van Gisbergen so he can put more of a charge after Zilich than what he's done so far today, which really it's been all Connor Zilich. And I would say that SVG is the second fastest car, but it's not by a wide margin. William Sawalich has had a great day so far. He pits from the top 5, so Sawalich pits before the end of the stage.
It's different. Yeah, that's been a great day for these guys running inside the top 5 all afternoon long. Car starting a little bit tight as it did in the first stage, and William just asked versus no flat in the lead. So change more tires, that fuel, make an air pressure adjustment to 18.
Brandon Jones also making a stop, his teammate. And it looks like it's a Joe Gibbs racing theme. Taylor Gray also getting service here. 3 laps to go, stage 2, Kim.
Yeah, they can't make it to the end of the race, so maybe shortening out a final pit stop in the final stage. But for Taylor Gray, remember he had that issue on the last stop where he kind of stalled it. A ton of track position, and this car has not been good in traffic. He said, I can't go anywhere. So also giving a little bit of balance for Taylor Gray on this stop.
And it's Rollins. Making a pit stop here under green as we hit the latter stages of stage 2. You know, a lot of times it's either or. Either flip the stage or you come at the end of the stage.
Flat right front tire for Daniel Dye. He's trying to limp his way back to pit road. We'll see if we stay green. We're at 2 to go in the stage, by the way. So Connor Zilich stays out of the pits that last time by. So he is going to get the stage points that he wanted to earn, and that's going to trap anybody else from having any sort of an opportunity to pit again before the end of stage 2, because pit road is now closed. Quite a bit of tire rubber getting laid down on the straightaway between turns 5 and 6. And I don't know if that's going to cause for debris or not. It's not necessarily the tire carcass that's laying down out there. And surprisingly, the entire right front fender hasn't really blown off of Dye's number 10 Chevrolet. Makes it onto pit road. NASCAR hoping to keep it green here, considering that the end of the stage is fastly approaching us. Connor Zilich just working his way into turn 6 right now, in fact. So Daniel Dye definitely going to fall off the lead lap by the time Zilich gets back around the front stretch. Jacking Dye's car up. 1 lap to go in stage number 2 for Connor Zilich. This will be the 6th stage win of the year for him. Allgaier picked up his 8th in stage 1 and has just made his way back into the top 10. Allgaier is currently scored in 8th place. You can tell he's kind of coasting now. No need to push the issue here for Zilich. Lead was up over 6 seconds. Now it's down to around 5 on the same lap. Riley Herbst, Harrison Burton side by side through the S's. Just outside the top 10 where those guys are battling on track. And Herbst is actually slow going through the S's. No wonder he was getting passed in that area of the racetrack. So he's trying to limp his way back to pit road. We're still under green for now. I wonder if it's another flat tire. We've seen a few of them this stage already. A lot of left fronts have gone flat that I've noticed of any of the tires on the race cars. Parker Retzlaff early in the stage, Daniel Dye, and now Riley Herbst. Green, white, checkered flag in the air. So again, 6th stage win of the year for Zilich. SVG will be scored 2nd, then Sam Mayer 3rd, Austin Hill 4th, and Carson Quapple rounds out the top 5 at 5th. 6th for Michael McDowell, Sheldon Creed 7th, Justin Allgaier 8th, Sammy Smith 9th, and Austin Green will shape out our top 10. I don't expect to see a lot of pit stops, especially for those at the front of the field that stayed out to get these stage points. I think they're going to just try to make this race a 1 more pit stop. Could see a similar strategy in tomorrow's Cup race as well. That race length is only 8 laps longer than today's race. Sacrifice the stage points in stage 1 and then try to make it to the end on 1 more stop. Be a little bit harder in that race just because those extra 8 laps will depend on how many cautions per incident, if we see any at all tomorrow as far as today goes. A lot easier for these teams to be able to make it. So we're probably going to see a lot of green flag pit stops in the first 10 laps or so of stage 3. Joey Logano fan, thanks for tuning in. Justin Besaw, welcome back. I swear if SVG wins, I'm jumping off my roof. Oh no. That's terrible. That bad, huh? Well, he's not winning so far. He hasn't led a single lap today, in fact. Well, I guess he got credited for 1 lap led. I think it was on the restart to begin the race. Or not the race, but the first restart back at stage 1. Because he had actually gotten to the lead for a brief moment. He must have crossed the start-finish line just ahead of Zilich, who had the control car through the restart zone, but SVG hung with him long enough until they got into the S's before Zilich was able to pull clear. So SVG did get 1 lap led out of that. Justin Allgaier led some laps because he stayed out to get the stage points back in stage 1. He led for 3 laps. And 1 lap for Williams Sawalich during green flag pit stops in stage 1 as well. So those are all the drivers to lead in today's race. Pit road should be open this time back around. Get 42 laps in stage 3 today. We'll end our chat poll now. 87 votes were casted. 41% of you took Connor Zilich for the win. 40% with SVG. 10% for somebody other than SVG, Zilich, or Michael McDowell. McDowell gets 8% of the votes today. Appreciate you guys voting. That's very tight, by the way. Please sneeze if you must. I don't want to on camera. I'm trying to wait for them to come back from the commercial break. I need to blow my nose what I need to do. I've been fighting the urge this entire race.
CW Sports coverage of the NASCAR Xfinity Series is brought to you by Progressive. Save when you bundle home, auto, and motorcycle insurance. Visit Progressive.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by Credit One Bank, NASCAR American Express Card. 2 stages down, Watkins, Glen, New York. Great day here for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Closing on the playoffs, been an entertaining afternoon. Few defining moments. And as we were wrapping the stage, a problem for Daniel Dye. Made that unscheduled stop, had the tire issue. Here's what created it.
And you see right there, he just clipped that Armco barrier. And that's one of the fastest sections of the racetrack. But a lot of times that starts at the bottom of the hill in turn 2. If you miss that corner, it messes up your angle of getting into the top of the hill. And I've made contact there myself. It's a bad place to hit. And unfortunately for him, he pitted while pit road was closed, and so he's not going to be eligible to get the free pass right here. So kind of a double whammy for the 10 car.
That goes to Blaine Perkins, the free pass. Here's William Sawalich radio talking strategy. The Joe Gibbs car's pitted prior to the end of the stage.
There's going to be some guys that stay out, running a little bit. Tires, I kind of like what we're doing. We keep laps off our tires before the pressure tire on the car.
So I love the information that he was able to get right there. It's because you're frustrated as a driver, like, why are we the only ones on this weird strategy? But knowing that there's a tire issue, and listen, if one of those tires blows out and it blows the fender off the car, or you end up wrecking from it, having a little bit of track position doesn't help you. So we saw the issue with the Haas factory cars earlier. We thought maybe that was a setup issue, but now we're hearing that Gibbs had some of the same concerns. So that's something that could play out, Adam. I think in this next stage, with it being a little bit longer, we see guys run more and more laps. We could see a tire issue.
Saw Anthony Alfredo going to the garage. They're having fuel pressure issues. And also Thomas Annunziata had spun, hit the wall. He was taken to the infield care center, evaluated and released. And Riley Herbst having a problem as well. We saw him stop on pit road, got out of the car, engine issue there. He's done for the day. Pit road's going to be open here, and I'm just so curious to see how everybody plays it, because you talk about if you want tires, if you don't, and we know regardless if you pit here or not, you're going to have to make one more stop. And the door is open to run it from all the way to your fuel window since the last pit stop. Progressive Pit Road open now, and do have a few takers. Carson Quapple, the first of those making a stop, Dylan.
Yeah, he snuck inside the top 5 here at the end of stage 2. Felt like he was really pretty good. Any handling challenges he said he was battling, he felt were manageable. They'll change 4 tires and add fuel. And again, this will just help them have a shorter pit stop in stage 3, Kim.
Yeah, for Sammy Smith there on the right side of your screen. Tight center, loose ladder. He just really cannot lean on the rear. So they're going to make a track bar adjustment, air pressure, 4 fresh sticker tires, Snowboat fuel. 2 of Jesse Love also in for fresh stickers.
Got a little bit of everything happening here. Those that came prior to the end of the stage, those that wait till the end of the stage to pit, and those that stay on track, including race leader Connor Zilich. Final stage coming up. It's a great day for racing here in Watkins, Glen, New York, and this is truly one of the most beautiful regions in the country.
American.
All right, well, diecast showing. I saw a couple of people mention it in the chat. Yes, it is the end of stage 2. It is time for that. So for today's diecast showing, I figured, well, the 88 car is dominating. I only have one 88 car diecast for now. I'd like to get a Helmansdale Jr. diecast at some point, but I don't. So this is his 2009 Coca-Cola 600 paint scheme, National Guard colors for that weekend. Always cool to see camo on a race car, in my personal opinion. And this one again from 2009, the Coca-Cola 600 specifically race diecast. Dale Earnhardt Jr. And that'll be our diecast showing for today's race. Car tomorrow with the wing gear. One of the few of those diecasts that I have, at least in this 124 scale. I got a ton of 164 scales of this era of NASCAR. Michael Turner, thanks for tuning in. John Barber, Earl Arnold Jr., welcome to the stream. Yeah, I'm battling my allergies today, so I apologize if I'm not doing as much of the race commentary as usual. I kind of did the same thing for the truck race yesterday, but it is hitting me like a ton of bricks here today. There's only so much I can do. It's just the warm weather months out of the year. It varies. I could go a couple weeks and I'm mostly fine, and then at random, it'll be just a day that hits me like a ton of bricks like today. Hopefully I'll be ready to go for tomorrow's cup race. It's that. My eyes get all itchy. So you see me touching my eyes a lot. It's because I itch them once and then they just constantly itch after that. They're probably beet red right now. Grass pollen. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yep. The usual. It's been bad ever since I was a kid. I can remember going to the doctor when I was younger and be like, yeah, it's probably something that's not going to be as bad as you get older. No, it never changed. It's still just as bad as it was when I was 8 years old. Like, it's just something I've been dealing with my whole life. Sucks. You sound all nasally one day and then the next day I'm perfectly fine. Not sick, like physically I feel healthy. I still worked out earlier this morning. I just been eating a lot of food today still. Just bit nasally. Glen is horrible for pollen. I don't think I had a bad time there. I had a terrible time when I went to the Indy 500 a couple years ago. That whole weekend or Memorial Day weekend, that was so bad for me. That's probably the worst it's been like at a racetrack when I've traveled. It was pretty hard to enjoy the moment. I kid you not, that whole like 4-hour drive back home after the race was over, I was sneezing my brains out. My grandpa obviously went with me. He was just like, you all right? We ended up stopping at a Subway to get dinner on the way home. Just kind of a grab and go. And I was out of like napkins and tissues because I used them all on the entire trip up there and back. That I was like, yeah, I need napkins desperately. We need to get off and get some food somewhere, like fast food. And so luckily there was a Subway connected to a Love's gas station that I was able to stock up on some more napkins. That was so bad. I had to take so many into the racetrack with me. Everybody that was probably seated around me thought I was sick. I was not. I hate being in the public, you know, when this is going on. Like, kind of like on stream, for instance, today.
Honestly, just more fun as they learn to race around each other. But there is a bit of a a tiebreaker on the line that needs to be settled. Of course, we know SVG won Chicago, Zilich won Sonoma. So what's it going to take to get that win today? Zilich said whoever makes fewer mistakes, which of course was the case for the 88 in stage 2, Adam.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because Jamie had referenced, man, it seems like maybe the Nines lost a little pace here, but ready for the final stage, and he's going to be on the front row as we look at our Mobile One leaderboard. Zilich out front, Shane Van Gisbergen going to be on the front row with him. Bayer's having a good day, Austin Hill quietly delivering, and Michael McDowell is in the game as well.
Yeah, and SVG's going to have to get a little more aggressive on this restart. You can't allow Connor to be out front. I think you're going to see him try to time this out. It's the second time he's been on the outside, the third restart that we've had here, and that inside car has such an advantage with where they're launching from in that zone with the corner coming up. But I expect to see the 9 car be more aggressive. We saw that 2 restarts ago from him and then run side by side through the S's.
You look at our lap tracker, get the restart 38 to go. Right around 30 to 32 to go is when we could see some pit stops here in this final stage. That's when the window opens up, just a nod to what we could be seeing from teams in regard to strategy. Final stage, Watkins, Glen, 2 of the best. Out front, Connor Zilich, Shane Van Gisbergen.
Oh, you see, looks like the 9 actually has a little bit of an advantage here as they get to the start-finish line. He ran really wide, though, when we got through turn 1 last time. You see Connor sends it really deep into turn 1.
Just so good at working the throttle and the brake and managing it. But look at this. Van Gisbergen, a little cross. He might get inside. As we come up the hill, he cannot. 88 out front through the S's.
Yeah, 88's really good through the S's. I would thought that maybe when the 9 got the 88, out of sync on that first turn 2, got him a little bit wide, that he might be able to get a run, but Connor was still able to get to the top of the hill really well.
Austin Hill able to get the third. We talked so much about the suspension missing last week. All the playoff points are gone. He wants to rekindle the momentum, and he wants his first career win on a road course. He's won everywhere else. So dominant when it comes to the draft. We know 2 weeks' time in Daytona he'll be outstanding, but once again, top 5 for that 21 team on the road.
Yeah, really solid road racer. Austin Hill, 3rd best average on everybody for this year. He's been really good at all the types of tracks we've been to, but impressive what he's been able to do on the road course. As you said, Adam, coming back from that suspension, you want to prove why you're here. And he said he was still going to be just as aggressive as he was before.
Keep an eye on that 18, William Sawalich. Remember, they hit it prior to the end of stage 2. He's on fresher tires. They still have a set of tires. When they make their pit stop here in the final stage, could be shorter for them. And he's making moves on Austin Green. And now Eckes making a stop. 16 is in.
Yeah, and Adam, the one thing I would say about Sawalich as we look on the right of your street is that earlier in the year, I feel like he would have put himself in a bad position at this point in the race when they got behind, because they had speed at the beginning of the year. But you see him being a little bit more careful here, still has that car completely clean, and I think the information that Jeff has given him as crew chief on that break of why they hit it or why they're going to be back a little bit kind of eases the nerves a little bit, and he knows that he has the pace to be up in the top 3.
Jesse Love made a pit stop at the end of the stage. He's on the move. Racing with Harrison Burton, who also came down, got it for service at lap 42.
William gets to the outside of Austin Green right here. Is going to be hopefully in the preferred position right here. He'll drive in just a little bit deeper, knowing he has fresher tires. Austin gives in just a little bit of breathing room now for William as he tries to run down Michael McDowell, will be the next car in front of him.
So Wallace up to 6th. One of 2 drivers in the top 10 that are on that strategy. He pitted at lap 37, so did the 54 of Taylor Gray. Let's get a report now from Dylan.
Yeah, it's been 2 bad weeks in a row for the 27 of Jeff Burton, and they've got a problem now. They had a left front go down, and the team said it got into the brakes and the steering components underneath that part of the race car, and they basically confirmed that they're not sure exactly what all has broken and gone wrong, but they've got a big problem. So trying to just limp it around here and salvage what they can today, hoping for a yellow to try to come down and fix it a little bit more, but going to be a long 36 laps here for the 27, just trying to nurse this home.
He's 30th today, 29th last week, his worst run of the year, and he lost 29 points to the cut line and bleeding points again today. 36 to go.
So with 36 laps left at Watkins Glen, Connor Zilich's lead is 1.2 seconds over Shane Van Gisbergen, 2.1 seconds to Austin Hill in third, Sam Mayer in fourth, 2.8 seconds off the lead of Michael McDowell, 3.6 seconds back in fifth. Christian Eckes came to pit road about 2 laps ago. We're at 35 laps to go in the race now as Zilich crosses the start-finish line. Fuel windows around 32 green flag laps. So really any lap, we may start to see drivers pit. Whenever it comes down to the road courses, the better decision is you want to be the first to pit last, especially with it being not too far after a restart in this situation, because you're not going to be at risk of going a lap down. But in the event that you stay out of the pits long enough and a caution were to come out, you're going to end up having to pit under yellow. Everybody else already pitted under green. You cycle behind them on pretty much even and equal tires at that point. Everybody's still good on fuel to the end. So that is the risk that you will end up paying if you stay out really long. So I would imagine most of the field coming down at one point in time. Zilich rounds out at turn 7. He's going to go at least one more lap, as we now reach 34 laps to go. 8 lead changes today, 1 hour, 20 minutes into the race. Lap 49 of 82 in the Mission 200 at the Glen. 2 stage ends, and then the Josh Balicki caution. And turn 6 back on lap 5, the only cautions of the race. Had 1 yellow for incident in stage 1 and stage 2 yesterday in the truck race, which were both 20 laps, just like today. But stage 3 yielded quite a few more yellows. 5 of them in stage 3 alone, including 3 overtimes. Things could stack up late again. One caution leads to another. Restart's the best opportunity to make passes, especially on a road course, and things tend to just get over aggressive, and when you're over aggressive, leads to more mistakes. One car really wide out in turn 6. Looks like it might have been the 51 of Jeremy Clements. One car coming to pit road off of turn 7. Middle to back of the pack. So I'll jump into the top 5, by the way. During the commercial break, he's gained 6 positions since the restart. Taylor Gray up 7 spots just behind him in 6th. They were 2 of the very few drivers that hit pit road before the end of the last stage. So they have fresher tires than everybody in front of them. Swallow still about 6.3 seconds off the race leader. It's only about 2 seconds off of the 3rd place car of Austin Hill, though.
Our Camping World Team Series premieres on the CW. The top bull riders in the world square off in a high-stakes team format where every ride counts. Tune in to watch the toughest sport on dirt. The PBR Camping World Team Series from Sunrise, Florida. It comes your way next right here on CW.
They don't make enough gear for me to ever get on a pole. Not a big enough helmet, anything.
Closed captioning for this race brought to you by Tableau TV. Pay once, watch forever. 32 laps to go. Connor Zilich out front. We're getting close to the window opening to be able to make a pit stop and then get to the end.
It's just all how much of a risk do you want to take, because you want to pit as early as you can so that if the caution comes out, you've already got your stop done, you've got the best track position. But the one thing we've seen at these road courses is multiple overtime restarts. So you almost want to have a lap or 2 in the bank, and we think they're getting close to that window. But like, how risky do you want to get it? Because if you don't get a caution, then you'd like to have plenty of fuel to not be worried if we go into overtime.
A handful of drivers from the top 10 that made their pit stop either right just before the end of stage 2 or stage 2 ended. So they should need less fuel, and that might help them as far as the timing of their stop. Zilich going to need as much fuel as anybody when he comes to get his service. That's the bad news. The good news, though, 2.6 seconds in front of Van Gisbergen, 4.3 seconds in front of third place Austin Hill. So he is building a cushion that will help him out. And here we are. Window is open. Stops beginning. The first to give it up. Second place, the 9 is Shane Van Gisbergen. Dylan.
Yeah, this is about as early as I think you'd want to go just to try to protect yourself on the back end or view of speeding. They're up in the second stage. We don't worry enough. If they went too far on air pressure on that last thing, they're going to go back about maximum what they changed there. We're going to spin around here coming into turn 6, it looks like.
Shipper McCree.
Wow.
And there's damage.
And
this is great.
Wow.
Gisbergen, if the caution comes out of debris, you have to believe.
I mean, the timing of that, impeccable for the 9 car. That was a kind of a Hail Mary, right? Because it's on the early side, but this caution's going to help him obviously save fuel, and also because now everybody's going to come pit, make their last stop. And Zilich might be behind a little bit. We saw someone else on pit road.
But I will say this, it looks like Jesse Love also made a stop here, and he did get out in front of the 9 of Shane Van Gisbergen. Here's the deal. Pit road closes when the caution comes out. So if you anticipate a caution, it's like pit, so you can get in and do your service and then cycle to the front if everyone then is to come under the yellow flag. They were pitting in the 9 camp before this ever happened. So this is a racing luck deal. The one thing I would say, though, not many people on pit road, everyone likely going to come here because you're in your window. And with that, Zilich is probably not going to lose a ton of track position. We'll wait and see how it all plays out. But right now, it's not going to be a huge loss for Zilich, but he does lose control for the time being, you would think, based on how you would anticipate this will shake out. And big for Sheldon Creed, who's having another good day and taking advantage, runner up here the last 2 years. And today he's going to get a DNF. And this has kind of been a theme for them this season. This will be his 7th DNF in 2025.
And he's looking at the car like something's broke that caused the issue he has right there, trying to figure out. See that right rear tire's flat, and he's wrecked in an interesting part of the track. Like, there either had to be contact with somebody that maybe cut a tire down. It just seems like a weird, we've seen a couple of wrecks here, but they end up in the gravel trap or on the exit of the corner. And this is before you even get to the corner. So you got to think something broke, and that there was contact with somebody earlier on that got him spun around.
He was standing over on that side of the car where maybe he was thinking about sharing displeasure with someone.
I thought that might
when
cost
they
him
come
some
by.
money.
I was kind of waiting to see how that panned out. And, the AMR safety team is there and escorting him, and he'll have to go to the care center and get checked out and evaluated. Let's go back and look, see if we can figure out exactly how this went down.
Looks like it's maybe Parker Retzloff makes contact. You see right here coming off the curb.
Oh.
Ooh. So that we saw that right when it very first happened, which was back just a little ways. But that contact got Sheldon turned. Oh, man, that could have been bad. Oh, those guys trying to get slowed down.
This is high speed, and this is a part of the track where we have had some bad accidents at Watkins Glen in the past.
We have. You don't realize how fast you're going here until you try to get slowed down and then try to invert. I mean, you see massive wrecks in that exact area, as you mentioned, Adam, of this racetrack. It's interesting, though. It looks like he just barely made contact when Retzloff was coming off of that curb. Let's hear what Parker had to say about the incident.
Well, I did not mean to do that, but. A little bit of a lane there.
Yeah, I would say in that section of the track on the curb, the cars do move around a little bit. It looked like it was just an inch that he caught him by, and it did get the double zero spun around. It's getting ready to get chaotic right now, Adam.
Pit road is open, and everybody in their window. Here they come. Pit stops under caution, Dylan.
And William Sawalich, who will pick from the third spot, has been pretty happy with his race car. Balance hasn't changed too much the entire day. They pitted about 20 laps later than some of the other cars at the front of the field that they're pitting with right now. So a good pit stop here should cycle them closer to the front of the field. More tires and fuel, Kim.
Ross and Hell on the right side of your screen. So it's pretty late to run, but so he said, I'll just deal with it. Turn one, the biggest problem area. 4 fresh Goodyear tires, snow cone fuel. Connor Zilich on the left hand of your screen. Happy with the race tire, unhappy with that caution. Kind of foiled their strategy. They had planned on coming under green, turn 53. Need anything in terms of balance and even on the track.
He did lose a few spots there, did Zilich in the exchange. Quapple the first off +5, Gray +3. They had made those later pit stops, and so they had a little less fuel that they needed to take on. Zilich comes off 4th behind Austin Hill and Sawalich, the 5th car off, and then we know that some drivers will stay on track here who had already made their stops. Jesse Love and Shane Van Gisbergen. We'll restart the running order, get set for the restart. It's going to come right around 27 laps to go at Watkins, Glen. You're watching the NASCAR Xfinity Series on CW.
Well, this could be the first time Connor Zilich has had to fight through traffic to try to get to the lead at any point in the race today. The way the strategy played out through the first 2 stages, he either had the lead, never gave it up, or gave it up and was easily able to get it back without having to actually pass anybody on track. Shane Van Gisbergen should be the race leader because he was on pit road when the caution flag did come out. And there was, I believe, only one other car that had made their pit stop prior to the caution for Sheldon Creed after contact with him and Parker Retzlaff out of turn 5. Quite a bit of damage on the 00 of Sheldon Creed's race car. Obviously, he is done for the day. Zilich loses 3 positions on pit road with that 88 team. So he'll have those 3 drivers lined up in front of him on the restart, plus 1 or 2 that didn't have to pit because they already are good on fuel to the end because of short pitting before the caution. So lucky timing caution, really, but that's why you want to pit as early as you can. I mentioned already, and obviously it's mentioned time and time again whenever we go to a road course, you want to be the first to pit last, and for that exact reason. Caution comes out. You're good on fuel. Everybody else isn't. You're going to cycle in front of them. You're not going to lose a lap. Obviously, you can't get away with that on most ovals because of the fact that you will end up going a lap down. It would only then put you further behind rather than to leapfrog and get ahead. So it looks like Parker Retzlaff stayed out on the racetrack again. Now, he was involved in the caution. If he's got any sort of damage, he may still have to come to pit road. Jesse Love, Michael McDowell, and Nick Sanchez were all on pit road along with SVG. Connor Zilich is going to be in 9th place on this restart. Rules are going to be reversed to how we saw at Sonoma, where SVG was trying to run down the 88 late. Now it's going to be the 88 trying to run down the 9 late. Well, we'll take a quick break. Live commentary coverage of the NASCAR Xfinity Series Mission 200 at the Glen continues here on KRC. Under caution for the 4th time today, 2nd for incident, our 1st since lap 5. It is currently lap 54 of 82, with a little bit less than 30 laps remaining. Green and white build submarine or the white, red, white, and blue one. The red, white, and blue pops a little bit better. I'm colorblind though, so take that for what it is. I don't have great insight on color schemes when it comes to paint schemes in the NASCAR realms. I don't value the look of a car, I guess, by way of the wrap scheme nowadays or the paint job. compared to a lot of other people.
Parker looks like he's going to get to Sheldon's outside, which I don't even know how he would get that momentum to get up there because he was behind him coming off of the carousel. But clearly they got together right there and got Sheldon spun around. Just let's hear what Sheldon had to say. Yeah, I mean it's super frustrating with that. I don't really know how the 4 even got beside him, and there's not really a great angle for us to be able to figure out. What we really would want to know is, did something happen earlier in the race, right? That maybe would cause you to want to do something, but we don't know anything about that. And I just see that as Parker got to his outside, and I don't know if Sheldon didn't know he was there or what led to that, but clearly got into the bumper, got him spun around in a very, very fast part of the track.
Watch this with Daniel Dye.
Oh boy.
Jeez.
My goodness gracious. All right, so Parker Retzloff involved in the incident. You know what? He stays out here. They said, let's just run it and see what happens. He last pitted at lap 42, so it's been a long time. Got to believe he's going to have to make a pit stop, but we'll let all that sort itself out. Jesse Love came down at lap 51. Remember, he beat Van Gisbergen off of the pit lane. They took no tires. They had the presence of mind to get on pit road, didn't have time to take tires. Van Gisbergen restarts up there on row 2 with Sanchez. You got McDowell up there. They were on that strategy that pitted once the caution came out. Zilich restarts in the 9th position, 9th prior to the cues. We know he's got a fast car. Got to take care of it here. And the guy in position is the 9, no doubt. Best car, best track position, at least at this stage of the game. Restart coming, 27 laps to go in Watkins Glen.
A good restart. When you see Jesse Love's going to be able to have the grip, the braking capability. His shades to the inside now. Parker Retzloff's going to run him a little bit wide as Jesse Love gets really wide.
He's not wasting any time. 4 wide.
They're patch tires. 4 wide to
Oh my gosh.
It's contact.
Yeah, Connor's just got to be patient right here. We know the pace that he has, and it's hard for him because the pit cycle hasn't worked out for him. See if he's able to get to the inside of Coapel getting into the bus stop. Looks like he's going to be there. Carson has a little bit of blocking on him.
You know, I didn't think this was going to work out all that bad for Zilich, but with the drivers that have stayed out and those that were able to have a quicker pit stop, it's changed the game.
Ooh, just squeaked through there.
Now getting aggressive.
Yeah, but Connor's got himself in a good position right now. If you look, I think he's up to 5th right now. There's single file in front of him. He definitely has the pace to get by these guys. Just got to be a little bit patient here. And I think the best thing for Connor is that you don't see the 9 driving off from the 2 right now. The pace just is not there for the 9 car today.
Well, it wasn't too much earlier in the race a year ago when he got the penalty for driving through the bus stop, and he came all the way back through, so he knows overcoming a tough time here. Let's get a report as he goes for the 5th position, Kim.
Jamie mentioned him needing to be patient. Well, I talked with Richie Marty Lumley about what there needs to work on. He's so high on road courses. What's he lacking? And Marty told me when he gets behind or in traffic, he tends to make bolder, more aggressive moves. He takes much bigger risks. Marty actually wants him to be more methodical. Here was the radio from the 88 team before we went green.
Look, buddy, there's plenty of race. Be really patient here. We're going to tear this car up. It'll be a big penalty if we knock a fender in.
Yeah, Connor knows that because it's from experience. He's tore some cars up getting back in traffic, and then obviously the car doesn't have the pace. You see Jesse Love get moved out of the way right there by his teammate through the carousel. But Connor has the pace, and the one thing, Adam, that sticks out to me is when we talked to him earlier in the day, he talked about how nervous he was 1 year ago at this race with it being his first race and how much more comfortable he was. Well, he knows he's got the fastest car. He knows he's got enough time left in this race. He gets to the outside against Jesse Love, and all he's got to do is be methodical, like Kim said. Good information there, Flicker Sheet.
You took the pass here at times.
For everyone but him,
In one lap, and he's up to 3rd now. Last time around, we're like, he's got to be careful. Now he's got some clean air, and it won't be long before the only thing between him and the lead is his teammate, and that's Shane Van Gisbergen.
Well, and he has everything going for him because everybody in the field knows the pace. Well, you see smoke right there. Is that the 18?
Absolutely. College man, it's been such a good day. And they had gotten 4 tires there, so they were really on the good side of it in regard to strategy. Maybe it'll clear itself. We'll keep an eye. While rookie drive boy, a lot of smoke coming.
They're going to have to pit for sure, pop that fender out. get tires on. But listen, you're out of this. This race will get chaotic by the end, but they're going to have to come in. You see the contact right here with the 18. I think it was maybe Sanchez on his outside. William was on the inside. There was contact there in turn one. We see that a lot at this track.
Back to the battle for the lead.
Well,
Top three. I mean, they're just tight together, and it just delivers on road courses. And I said this during practice and qualifying earlier, and you talked about his average finish. But when you look at top fives in his career, he has more top fives on the road than he has even in the draft, which makes a major statement of how good he is. He did win a Truck Series race here at Watkins Glen. We know he's capable, but today he might have to take a back seat to this duo from Junior Motorsports. They were 1-2 in Chicago, 1-2 in Sonoma, and it won't be long before Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilich are 1-2 here. 88 just coming after it.
Yeah, and Connor tried to get to the inside of Austin Hill right there, getting it turn one, pulled out, showed him the nose. And I could tell how deep the 21 drove in. You can see the back of the car really light. You see Connor showing him the nose here again. It's going to be a tough. This is going to be his toughest pass, I think, of the day. The 21 and the 9, knowing the pace that they have and how good they are on the road. But look at how much speed Connor has out of that bus stop. He's going to try to set him up right here. I would say for a turn one pass again, that's probably your best opportunity. He seems really good off of turn 7, which is critical because that passing zone in turn 1, he's been so good under the brakes.
You know, despite the fact that Zilich is kind of caught up here and being patient with Austin Hill as he makes his move, the 9 of Shane Van Gisbergen not exactly driving away off of turn 7. 88 is there.
Yeah,
Trying to get second away, and he's going to be in position into turn 1.
Yeah, he snuck inside of him right there, and I thought that Austin was going to have the momentum on the outside, but Connor kind of caught him off guard. And the 21, wasn't able to get back to the throttle where he wanted to. Connor's able to complete that pass down into turn 1. See right now how hard the 9 can race him and how this could play out. It feels like he's in a good position, has made up all that time. 8th position. We had this restart. He sees in second already.
Well, this is deja vu. And you go back to Chicago, restart late, and Van Gisbergen muscles Zilich out of the way, drives off the win. Yeah, Zilich is not handy. So then we go to Sonoma the very next week. Zilich in charge. And I mean, Van Gisbergen is there. He's aggressive, but doesn't go over the top. And it's Zilich who's able to take the checkered flag.
Yeah, but the one big difference between those 2 days and today is that their pace was matched on those days. I think from stage 1 to stage 2, it was hard to pick, who had the best car. Very comparable lap times. Today, lights out. Like Connor Zilich is by far the fastest car on the racetrack. Shane's going to be hard to pass just because he's really good in the braking zones, and he's going to know, he's going to kind of size Connor where he's good and where he needs to manage this. But Zilich today just has significantly more pace than SVG.
You said it earlier. Golfers have their favorite hole, and there's just places as drivers where you feel more comfortable. You just hit the sweet spot. And Watkins Glen has been it for Connor Zilich, and he is right there. And now you just have to take your time because you feel like, as you said, with the speed he is, once you get the advantage, you can put some distance between yourself and the 9. Here we're bust stop.
That's awesome. So Shane had a bad turn 1 that resulted in not having that momentum up through the S's, and I was curious to see. He has no overall grip. You hear from the 9 car right there, but he had to block a little bit. So he's going to race Connor really hard, even though they're teammates right here. It's almost a reversal of what we saw at Sonoma where the 9 was a little bit better. Might have to get a little bit of aggressive, but he's still got 22 laps to go.
I was going to say, 22 laps here is just an absolute eternity. And you want to be aggressive here and you want the lead, but on the other side of that, we know how crazy things can get late. It might want to lead you to those little take care of your car. So if you do get a bunch of restarts late in the game, you're protected in that regard. For now, status quo out front. Shane Van Gisbergen leading into turn 1 over Connor Zilich.
Yeah, and we always talk about how good SVG is into the braking zones, but as you look at that perspective right there, you can see the 88 able to roll in just a little bit deeper on him. Can drive in a little bit deeper into turn 2. We'll watch him go up through the S's right here. The 9 needs some rear grip. And typically, if you don't have rear grip, you're not going to get into the braking zones just because of how loose the balance of your car is. Let's see if he has to block here again into the bus stop. You see Connor kind of showing him the nose. SVG's probably driving out of the rearview mirror as much as he is out the windshield right now, but he actually had a decent lap the last time by. This seems to be his weakness out of the bus stop around this carousel. But I thought it looked like he was really good in turn 7, which is good for him because that turn 1's been a great passing zone for the 88 all day today.
Much better is Shane Van Gisbergen making Connor Zilich right now. 19 years old and learning from the best, got a front seat. And maybe it'd be the 88 that takes the 9 to school here. Zilich just as they go off the turn 7, they'll see 20 laps this time by.
Yeah, I can't imagine that Shane's going to be able to hold him up for 20 more laps. I feel like Connor's being pretty patient right here. It's been inside of him a couple of times as he gets inside of him again and locks up that left front or right front tire on the inside of that corner. Connor's being very, very gracious to Shane right here.
The chase to turn 2.
And side by side, trying to get through the S's. It's so hard to go through there side by side. Connor's just trying to time this run out where he can get him into a braking zone, but Shane just kind of managing this. Their lap times aren't good right now because of all the defensive driving that he's having to do.
Well, but look what they're doing, putting distance between themselves and third place, Austin Hill, and fourth place, Michael McDowell. We know what a good road racer he is, but yet they're putting on this show and still starting to pull away from the competition.
Yeah, the only thing that Shane can hope for right now is that by Connor running in all the dirty air, that he maybe can overheat his tires. And Adam, that's one thing that will most likely pop up before this race is over. Is we've only been able to run 18 green flag laps, so we've seen a lot of tire blistering today. Oh, he's getting back to his inside right here, turn 7. Here's a tire squall. These guys are sliding around the corner.
Well, Zilich just keeps getting the nose, but can't quite finish the deal. And really being wise and patient is the 88.
Well, you got to think that he could just hear Marty Lindley in his ear, like over and over again, saying, "Be patient, don't tear a fender off it." He's got a really good run right here out of turn 1, heading down into turn 2 in the S's.
Side by side, coming up the hill.
Oh boy.
Contact right there.
And now Austin Hill starting to reel it in. Here comes the 21. They were pulling away. Now Austin Hill back in the game.
Oh, and that's exactly what Shane wants right there. Is trying to get that 21 back in between them, give him a little bit of a breather.
Back straight bus stop, and they are just slinging it around, hustling for all it's worth.
So if I'm Zilich now, I'm going to move Shane. I've been nice for 4 or 5 laps. I get it, but it's over now because I might get knocked off the track from the 21. Let's hear what the 88 has to say.
Josh Williams, the spotter.
Good information, but I just my patience would run thin right now. I think you're going to have to do what's. I know that your teammate in front of you, and you guys have had some fun, but the pace is off because of how defensive the 9's having to drive. So when I get my next opportunity, I'm going to take it.
18 to go, and you got to believe that Josh Williams radio from the spotter stand was prior to Austin Hill getting right back in it because they were 1.1 seconds in front of him. They had a cushion. It was really a 2-man battle. It's not anymore, and that will no doubt, as you said, Jamie, change your mentality.
Well, and fourth place is 0.6 of a second quicker than what they're able to run right now. And so if you're inside the car and you're the 88 and you're the 9, you know how far this pace is off. So you know, I don't feel like the 88's been able to put as much pressure on him as he could earlier in that run. You gotta wonder has the grip started to go away from having to run behind him for so many laps, but see him able to get quiet as tight as he was. You see, there's like a half a car length between them right there.
Around the track here.
But you see, Connor's gonna get to his outside. If he can run side by side with him through this corner, it's gonna be in the preferred position. I think Shane might have go just a little bit there. Howard.
Oh, we turned him! Oh no! Oh!
For the 9. Caution is out. Oh my
Jeez!
Yeah, Connor ran wide on the exit of 6. I don't think there's any intentions there of getting into the 9 when he came back off the track. That fender though is not looking good on the front of the 88 either.
Wow!
It was just a matter of time, Adam. And I mean, I'm not defending anyone here, but you can only
Well, they know where to go.
Yeah, you can only block for so long before this is the result that you're going to get. And Shane had to know that at some point when all that's going on, like you can play the shenanigans for a while, but eventually someone's feelings are going to get hurt. And unfortunately, the 9 came out on the short end of the deal. I think the 88's in trouble too, looking at that fender.
Let's get some more 88 radio here.
Yeah, if we go back and or watch that replay, when Connor got to his outside getting into turn 6, Connor overdrove that corner. Let's take a look at it real quick right here. Connor overdrove the entry to turn 6 and obviously ran wide. This is coming off the carousel. If you watch the 88 behind the 9's going to get a little bit of a run, kind of get to his outside as they head down into turn 6. And then Connor overdrives the corner and is going to run a little bit wide here. I thought the 9 was letting him go, actually, but if you watch how wide the 88 runs, he goes to come back on the racetrack. And they just, the 9's going to have to give him a little bit of room there. You know that
Wow.
angle is going to run out, and you're going to have to give him just a little bit of space. Maybe the 9 didn't know that he was on the inside. There is no spotter right there, right? It's hard for the spotters to see that. That's almost a blind spot of the racetrack, depending on where the spotters are located. But they came back on, they made contact. And again, like, you just don't realize how fast this track is until you see contact and you see the impact of the 9 car. But I don't blame Connor for doing anything wrong right there.
A violent hit for Shane Van Gisbergen. Teammates today, and teammates for years to come at Trackhouse. SVG just signed a multi-year extension, but he's done here this afternoon, 5th caution, and it comes for 2 dudes racing for the top spot.
Honestly, I mean, the way I saw it, it's kind of similar to how Jamie McMurray described it in his eyes, in the sense that Zilich was on the outside going into turn 6. He ended up running wide, and as he was coming back on to the actual racing line so he could make the corner into turn 7, there's grass coming up on the inside and whatnot from the excess pavement he was on in turn 6. SVG was still kind of in that, like, defensive line, that there wasn't really anywhere for him to go. Like, SVG didn't necessarily change his line when Zilich moved up, but I think he was expecting him to give him more room, and he never did. The more I looked at that replay, honestly, in my eyes, it looked more like a racing deal. I mean, you hate to see that with 2 teammates, but I don't really know that one driver did more wrong than the other. Running defensive lines gets you into situations that can be tricky like that. Zilich easily could have lifted a little bit more when moving back onto the normal racing line, fall in line behind him. At that point, if he lifts, Austin Hill's probably getting by on the outside for second. So there is definitely a lost time there. But I mean, that's the gamble you pay. You know, at least you'll live to fight another lap when you still have, what, 17, 16 laps to go. Live to fight another lap. Definitely did not see that coming. Not that early, at least. If it was. Again, we still have about 16, 17 laps left in this race. SVG hit very hard against the outside wall as well. He was able to drive his car back into the pits, but he is definitely going to be done for the day as he heads to the garage area. I'm sure we'll get an interview with Van Gisbergen when he is checked and released from the infield care center. Mike Goff, rocket ship for Federico Sanchez, Bond 1771. Many others who have tuned in throughout the course of today's live commentary stream. I appreciate you guys watching. Trying to give you my commentary from here on out to the end of the race. It's been mostly the TV stuff for this stream today. Again, I apologize for that. I have a very nasally situation going on. My allergies are kicking my tail, as you can probably tell by my stuffed up voice. Yeah, it looked like a racing deal. I mean, both drivers did a little bit of wrong there in my eyes. I mean, SVG was blocking for a while, putting, when you run a defensive line like that, you're putting the other driver in an uncompromised position that if something happens to him, you may reap the repercussions of putting him in that spot. And that's kind of what happened there. And then, like I said already, for Zilich's side of it, when he was coming back off the excess pavement out of turn 6, he could have lifted, fell in line behind SVG, probably would have lost second place, fell back to third. But at that point, he's still pacing better than everybody else. You got to live to fight another lap. And that was just the worst thing that could have happened there, was both of them tangling together. Van Gisbergen's done. And there's some damage on the left front fender for Connor Zilich as well. A big hit for SVG. I like the overhead shot that they showed, kind of an aerial cam, if you will, more than the one that they just showed from the turn 7 entry angle, because the turn 7 entry angle looks like he just came right up and hooked him, but the aerial shot, you could see that he didn't have much more asphalt left to go. He was running out of it quickly. He had to move up. He didn't get the room to move up, and that's where, again, I'll stop repeating myself after a while, but that's where he probably should have just lifted and lived to fight another lap. Racing deal, both drivers in the wrong. They're going hard, and fortunately for SVG, he gets the worst end of it. I don't think Zilich is going to pit. Left front fender is definitely caved in on his number 88 Chevrolet, but doesn't look like there's too much of a rub. Aerodynamically, you'd have to think that that may cost him a little bit of speed around a very fast road course like Watkins Glen International. Austin Hill, not really much damage on his car. Michael McDowell in third. Very good road course racer right there as well. If you're looking at any drivers that could potentially steal this from Connor Zilich, we know how aggressive Austin Hill could be. And he was keeping up with the 9 and the 88 when they were racing each other for the race lead there moments before the caution. So with the damage to the 88, is this going to hinder the top lap times he was able to put down earlier in the race? Zilich with a gutted out performance. He's got some left front fender damage as well. He is going to be in row 2 on the restart. So Zilich, Austin Hill, row 1. Row 2 will be Michael McDowell, William Zilich. Row 3, Taylor Gray, Sammy Smith. And we will have 14 laps to go on the restart here at Watkins Glen. Gonna fire off into the restart zone. Zilich gonna come out of turn 7 to the start-finish line with the race lead. Austin Hill hanging on the outside, though. You can really start to see that tire rub for the 88 of Zilich. Hill in line behind him, all over the back of the 88, who tries to set the corner up. He sends the 88 wide. Kind of saw that coming. Austin Hill leads, and they're 3 and 4 wide for about third place on back. Scramble getting into the S's. Still a lot of jockeying for position around Justin Allgaier. William Zilich goes backwards yet again. They'll settle each other in line. And so Austin Hill leads, and he's trying to run away with it. Michael McDowell the second. Zilich fell all the way back to fourth after getting set wide. And caution flag is out for debris. Immediately after getting the green, the debris laying on the exit of the bus stop.
Oh yeah, it's just the
What that is.
This is caution number 6.
I want some 88 radio now. Let's hear kind of his perspective on that.
Well, it's interesting. Austin Hill said before the race today I'm not changing who I am. I'm aggressive. I'm hard nosed. I'm a roll up your sleeves kind of guy. And we know, what happened at Indy, and there you saw the aggression. And I'm not implicating anything here by saying that. I'm just, noting that he is someone that is going to go get after it.
You see right here, Austin knew that the 88 had beat him on the restart. I think Connor's a little easy getting in the corner based on seeing the 18 be able to get to the outside, and then you see the 88 and the 18 both trying to get back on the racetrack, have lost all their momentum. And Adam, listen, I'm with you. Is like that's racing really hard. Connor had overslowed the corner. Austin Hill knows his chance to win today is to move that 88 out of the way. That is racing. That's part of it. We'll see how the 88 retaliates or how he races when he gets back. Let's hear kind of his perspective on what he had to say here.
Well, yeah, he was flat running the back of you. He'll be back done.
I agree, 100%. That's what it's exactly. I think the way everybody sees it. I think Austin Hill will tell you that as well. I mean, he knows that's his chance to win. The 88 is in a different league when it comes down to speed, but there's still plenty of time left for Connor to get back up there. And we've seen him pass him once, and I no doubt that he'll be able to do it again.
You mentioned the fact we had 7 cautions in this race last year, had a couple of overtimes, and it's just crazy to me how you get down to the end. We saw it with the trucks yesterday evening. Everything just changes from an aggression level standpoint, and that's when you start to build the caution load. Let's hear from Shane Van Gisbergen, and here's Dylan.
He is out of the infield care center, and we'll get his thoughts. So the 88 caught you quick, and you held him off for a while. But what's your take on how it ultimately ended?
Yeah, not ideal. Pretty gutted, really. Gutted for the junior motorsports guys. Our car wasn't great, but we still had managed to get ourselves in good position and looked great. Kubota had some cool guests here. But yeah, pretty average way to end.
Do you feel like you left him the proper amount of room to be raced clean?
I haven't seen it yet, so I'll watch it later and work it out, but I don't know yet.
Thanks, Shane.
Well, it's always hard from his perspective until you see your replay to comment on exactly what happened. I sensed a little frustration there, like he felt like he didn't do anything wrong. I do think when he goes back and sees that it clearly wishes that he had left a gap there for Connor to get back on his inside.
Let's go back now under caution and watch Connor Zilich here.
Well, maybe just sensing a little bit of frustration. Maybe just going up to tell him he's number one, right?
Could very well
say hello.
This will be the last time we see these two together here.
That's when your spotter's screaming. Use your head. You see just a little bit of contact there. That's just frustration on Connor's part. Make you feel better in the moment.
Now we go Austin Hill radio.
Well, I guess what?
I think Austin was referring to the initial contact, which he was not getting pushed. It did look like Connor overslowed that corner, being a little more cautious, judging off of the 18 being on his outside, but no pushing there.
Austin Hill, who's won here in the trucks, looking for his first road course win. Michael McDowell, last time he raced in the Xfinity Series, 2016, a winner at Road America. And driving that 11 car for Colleague, they made the announcement about 10 days ago that they were going to release Josh Williams and go just on a fact-finding mission on where their program was and put some cup drivers in it and see where they are down the stretch of the regular season. Carson Hocevar 6th last week at Iowa. McDowell's been fast today. Justin Haley will drive the 11 in a couple of weeks' time at Daytona on a Friday night there. Haley's had a lot of success with Colleague over the years, especially in the draft. Then you go, on back a little bit. Taylor Gray running third. And this team has been so close so many times, including on the road course at Mexico City when he finished second. He comes in with a nice advantage over the cut line. Certainly got a great shot to make it into the playoffs, but they want to win and he's got a chance to do it here today, despite the fact that he lost ground on that pit stop earlier when it wouldn't free fire and he killed the engine coming off. But unfortunately, they lost the spots there, but they've gained them back, and he's in third. Sammy Smith's won this year, and then you get back to the end of the top five, and Connor Zilich, who's going to try and come from behind to get it done for a second straight year at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, Taylor Gray's done a great job. It's like they're coming to choose here now. McDowell's going to line up on the front row with Austin Hill. Be curious to see Taylor Gray knowing how Austin Hill got the lead. Like, do you race the same way? Like, what do these guys choose to do? Unfortunately,
Well, remember back to Martinsville when Taylor Gray got shoved out of the way in a late race restart for the win there. He's in position. You just saw the guy that took the lead shove somebody out of the way. I would race him the same way if I'm Taylor Gray, to be completely honest. So we'll see if that works out for him, if he does choose to do that down into turn one. We'll have 11 laps to go in the restart. Michael McDowell, by the way, outside of row one. Right there with Austin Hill. Quietly been inside the top 10 all day, shuffling his way forward. He was in fourth before the Connor Zilich and SVG incident. Zilich still very much in this race. Will be inside of row 3 on the restart in 5th place. Sam Mayer on the outside of that row. Pace car rolls into the pits. Hill launches late in the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Hill clear nearly out of turn 7. The 11 car staying with him. Big push to the back of Michael McDowell from the 8 of Sammy Smith. Will keep the 21 and the 11 pretty even through the first turn. Connor Zilich 3 wide to the inside for 3rd place. Michael McDowell going to come out with the race lead, and Zilich barely squeezes by Taylor Gray for 4th. Couldn't hang with Sammy Smith, but he was lucky enough just to clear one of those cars. Michael McDowell cleanly on the outside, able to beat Austin Hill through the first couple of corners. Now Hill's going to have to be back on the attack again. And Zilich is not that far behind him either. He's got one car between himself and Austin Hill. That would be his teammate Sammy Smith in the 8. Taylor Gray fell out of the top 5 on the restart after being inside of row 2. Austin Hill to the inside of Michael McDowell, the Cup regular, out of turn 5 in the carousel, side by side for the lead into 6. A little bit of side skirt damage between the two cars as they lean on one another. McDowell maybe forces the 21 just a little bit wide. Hill hangs tough, though, on the inside now for turn 7, and he forces the 11 wide, almost up against the fence. And we've got a drag race to the start-finish line, 10 laps to go. The battle is on. Zilich is closing in behind both cars as he outbreaks the 8 of Sammy Smith to get the 3rd. The 21 and the 11 are still door-to-door. Up out of the exit of turn 1, Zilich actually comes through. He gets by the 21 of Austin Hill, and he's the one trying to hang in there with the 11 of Michael McDowell. Resilient comeback there for Zilich, and out of the S's, he looks to the inside of McDowell, who doesn't seem to have the pace he needs in his race car to hang on to the lead. First under duress from the 21, and now the 88 Zilich into the bus stop, outbreaks McDowell. And through to the lead goes Connor Zilich. Further back, Taylor Gray plowing through the grass in the bus stop. Undercutting the corner a little bit there. A little off-roading, but he's back on track. We stay green. No incidences further back in the pack. And the battle between the 11 and the 21 is ongoing again, but this time for 2nd. And Zilich, with being back in the race lead, is driving away. Justin Allgaier underneath of Austin Green as they battle for 8th place into turn 7. Can't hang with him. Green holds on to that spot. 3 wide, bottlenecking now just behind Justin Allgaier out of the exit of turn 7 and down towards turn 1. Pay attention there. Wheel hop by the 7 of Allgaier. Able to woe his car up in time to keep from running into the back of Austin Green. Great job there by Allgaier to do so. Sammy Smith trying to slip alongside of Austin Hill out of turn 1, but couldn't hang door-to-door through the S's. Big run coming for Sam Mayer, who's able to stay on the gas behind the 8, and he may be able to attack into the bus stop. Not quite. It is so tight nose to tail between everybody for basically second place through sixth. Hill looks to the outside. Oh, he hooks the 11 hard into the guardrail. Back across the racetrack as he gets hit severely by several cars. Sawalich and Gray heavily impacted. Others still trying to race their way through. Balicki goes airborne in the back as he gets piled into in the clouded air. That was making it very hard to see cars sitting in the middle of the racetrack. A dangerous crash up out of turn 5. And a parking lot in that long straightaway between 5 and 6. Caution flag is out, and I would assume this is going to lead to a red flag as Michael McDowell took some massive impacts from that one.
I can see similar to the Retzlaw Creed incident, right? Like we saw Austin Hill get really wide right there and then coming back on. It looked like he caught the back end of McDowell's car. And I heard someone say he hooked me, but I couldn't make out who we were listening to right there. But the amount of cars, some of those, it was crazy to me, Adam, that they had this massive wreck and you saw a lot of guys slow down and then some guys way in the back, never slowing down and just like driving into the wreck. Like their spotters hadn't told them what was going on up ahead of them.
Preston Martinez parked there, Ryan Sieg, Kyle Sieg, Jesse Love, Ryan Ellis, Jeff Burton, Anthony Alfredo.
Tell you that we have seen like super speedway type wrecks in this section of the track. Watch Austin Hill. He is behind McDowell. He's going to swing way wide right here. We saw this. And then it's like when Austin's trying to, he caught the back of McDowell right there. And then you could see the visibility goes away.
Oh,
I don't think that's intentional, Adam. I think that is Austin running wide, trying to get back on the racetrack, and very similar to what we saw with Retzlaff. I know there's going to be some frustrated people. Oh, look at those guys that have slowed down behind, and others that just came piling in there.
It's just crazy how tight this area is. It just funnels down. And once you get a driver out of shape in this portion,
McDowell's wreck is massive right
there's
there.
nowhere to go. And the impact was just crazy for McDowell.
Wow.
Drove into the wreck back there. Balicki was the one, I think, that got his wheels off the ground. But it was hard to tell what was happening behind him.
Well, this would be a good perspective right here if it swings around. You see the 21 get to the outside. Yeah, you see they're just all trying to get back into the line, back on the track. Adam, you almost got to wonder as we watch these wrecks if you need an out of bounds, right? Like that's really rough over there. It's not the racing surface, but it's legal and you can go out there. This would be a good perspective from Eckes. He's going to make it through this wreck.
wow.
Just all the debris. It's bouncing around the track, floating through the air. This is just a spectacular scene here.
Look at that.
To see the emergency equipment there, all the crashed race cars, and all the safety officials that are there tending to the drivers to make sure everyone is in fact okay. Here's Austin Hill radio.
Hardline cutoff. Apologize for being for 11-0 now.
16 cars involved in this crash that has led us to a red flag with 8 laps to go at Watkins Glen.
Look at that 11 car. Full back clip is gone off of it. Massive impact into that Armco barrier.
When you go back and you reference same area of the track is when we had the incident with Sheldon Creed and Parker Retzloff. The difference there is that we had been under green for quite a while, and so the field was far more spread out. We just had a restart a couple of laps ago, and so everyone was still tight and racing so hard for position. And that's the reason, once you get in this area and you get one turned around, there's just nowhere to go. You can't escape. And that's what led to what we see here, all this debris.
Adam, one thing to keep in mind is that section of the racetrack, the spotters are actually over at the bus stop, which is before the carousel. So you have a set of spotters there. You're not on your own, but you kind of are on your own at that section of the racetrack. And I think if you're in McDowell's position, you're looking ahead, not thinking someone's going to get to your outside. And I feel like it's almost an identical situation that we saw with Creed and Retzloff, where someone got to that left rear trying to get to their inside, and as they come back on the track, that it's rough. You're going over those curves, and both of those cars got hooked, but I don't feel like either of those were like, I'm going to get you right here. I think it's a racing incident, and it's unfortunate that it's led to two. I mean, Sheldon's wreck was big as well, but that impact for McDowell was on another level.
Seventh caution of the day leads to a red flag. Contact coming out of turn 5. The 11 is Michael McDowell, who comes across the racetrack and just hammers the barrier. And for so many behind him, nowhere to go. And keeping in mind, these are drivers that were running inside the top 5, top 10. Austin Green sneaks through, Christian Eckes, Carson Kvapil, but some of the others behind him, not so fortunate. A lot of cleanup on the way at Watkins, Glen. We'll take a break and come back. You're watching the NASCAR Xfinity Series on CW.
I'll tell you what, it's been a crazy area of the racetrack for this race between turns, the exit of 5 all the way down towards around turn 6. That's where all these incidences have taken place. Even going back to the stage 1 incident with Zilich and SVG was in turn 6. And then we saw another spin there, obviously, later. The Sheldon Creed incident right off the exit of turn 5. Very similar area of the racetrack to where he and Parker Retzlaff made contact. And then with Austin Hill and Michael McDowell. And I would agree. I think Easy Network in the chat. My phone just died on me a little bit ago. So if I'm popping from one screen to the next, because I'm trying to see what you guys are commenting. But it did look almost identical to how the incident started between SVG and Connor Zilich, where two cars go wide up off the exit of a corner. Well, I will say this instance, 2 cars went wide versus it was only Zilich, and then he didn't have room to get back up onto the racetrack. Similar instance here where there just wasn't enough room to stay on throttle for Austin Hill as wide as he was. He, at that point, needs to lift, get out of line behind the driver you're battling, Michael McDowell. If you're at risk of losing another position or two because you go wide up off the exit of a corner and you want to stay in the gas so you don't lose that extra spot, but you need to get back in line, at some point, you're still going to have to, like, I feel like it should be a driver etiquette or a driver code somewhere in there where it's like live to fight another day. You know, why are you still cramming the gas, trying to turn back into line, hoping he's not going to be there anymore when he's there? I don't think there was any intent there by Austin Hill by any means. Same for Connor Zilich. But it's mistakes where if you lift and then turn back to get in line, yes, you're losing a ton of momentum down the next straightaway, but losing a position versus, you know, wrecking out of the race or causing a massive wreck like we've seen with 2 big hits now back to back. This one even more so than the SVG hit for Michael McDowell. I mean, I don't get it, you know, personally. You know, me racing growing up, if I was in a similar, you know, circumstance, for instance, I'm on the outside of another guy. and we're going wide, instead of just, staying in the gas and, just staying in my line, I'm going to live to fight another day. And we just haven't seen that with these last two incidences. Things are happening quick. I will also add, obviously, especially on a fast road course here like Watkins Glen, it's a split-second reaction, but at the same time, these guys are professional race car drivers at the end of the day. And they're making amateur mistakes. And obviously, you could consider the fact that they are more amateurs than, say, guys in the Cup Series side of things are. Connor Zilich, only 18 years old, making a mistake that probably, other 18-year-olds would have, regardless of the, talent level pool of that said 18, 19-year-old that Connor Zilich is. Still under red flag conditions, by the way, here at Watkins Glen as track repair continues.
You're on your own. You're kind of your own spotter inside of the car, and I think that's why you've seen like both of those incidents where somebody trying to get to the outside. I mean, it's obviously super hard racing, but I don't think that anyone is like we listen. Austin Hill 2 weeks ago at Indy, like got suspended for hooking somebody, and it looked intentional, and that's what I said. And I know Austin has denied that, and he's the only one that knows. But when I look at this scenario or Parker Retzloff's, I know there's emotions from other teams and other drivers who are involved in this that are mad, but I don't have a biased opinion. I call things the way that I see them. And when I look at that, I don't see that as a I'm going to hook you into this wall. I think it's a racing incident, and it's unfortunate, and I hate it for Michael McDowell, this massive impact he had. But I don't think that Retzloff's intention or Austin Hill's intention in this incident was to try to hook somebody or turn them around at that section of the racetrack. I just don't see it happening.
Here's the good news. All the drivers that were involved were able to climb, from their race cars over to the care center and get evaluated. But I'm glad that they were all able to climb out. The field sits here on the back straightaway just short of the bus stop, waiting for everything to be cleaned and cleared so we can go back under caution. A scary, scary moment here at Watkins Glen. Here he is one more time. Coming out of the carousel. And once Michael McDowell caught the inside wall, just thrown into that outside barrier, and he collects so many behind him. Red flag is out here at Watkins Glen in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
To add on to it, I'm also kind of shocked that it doesn't seem like Austin Hill has a lot of damage to his race car, despite kind of being at the start of the incident, kind of the same way that Connor Zilich, although he had a little bit of left front fender damage after the contact with SVG, which caused the SVG retirement from the race, he doesn't have a lot of damage either. AJF, thanks for tuning in. Many others. Yeah, I don't think there was any intent here either. I will say, there's probably some sort of like driver code in there for drivers that say aren't in the race car at the time of this happening, like a Jamie McMurray in the broadcast booth. I feel like they over defend drivers a little too much. And they're not as critical of them in situations where, I would be, or even with these live commentary streams. Like, I make things as unbiased as I can when I'm calling these races on these live commentary streams, and how I saw it was exactly how I explained. If I were in the instance of Austin Hill there, I would have tried to get back in line like he did, but not in that way. I would have lifted. It's at the expense of, losing not only the position you're battling for second, maybe another position, because that's a long straightaway, for instance, too. He wasn't going to have any momentum heading down towards turn 6. But it's better than causing a huge wreck at the expense of the driver that you're racing with, other drivers further back in the field, and yourself. I mean, he put himself in just as much of a dangerous situation by trying to stay in the gas for as long as he did. and fight it out as much as Michael McDowell. McDowell just, unfortunately was on the worst side of it. But Austin Hill, when they got hooked together there initially, they both could have ended up in the guardrail, but somehow, physics-wise, when they came together, it seemed like the 11 of McDowell just kind of swung across the front bumper of the 21 rather than them locking onto one another. But they both could have ended up driving each other into the guardrail. I'm surprised that didn't happen. Swamp Hound, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we did get to our like goal of 50 on the stream, by the way. We're at 67 and counting right now. We got just over 150 people in the chat. Like the red flag here, track cleanup. Track was blocked. They did get all the cars out of the way, but a lot of speedy dry. And looks like repair to the guardrail, the first one that Michael McDowell hit, which would be on the outside of the straightaway leading towards turn 6, that initial impact he had. So that is probably going to be the most length of this red flag period. Not sure exactly what time it was when it started, but it's been ongoing for a minute. We got some driver interviews from ones involved in the wreck.
Her vantage point of that, and could you see anything to try
I
to miss that?
believe this is William Sawalich.
I saw the replay, and apparently I hit a tire flying through the air. So that's just our year's luck. But it is what it is. The boys brought a good Sound Gear GR Supra that was as fast as Xfinity Mobile. So we had some good battles throughout the day and just really good speed no matter what happened to us in the race. We had really good restarts and just can't be prouder of our team.
Yeah, and just to expand on that, it has been a obviously work in progress. We've talked about it a lot with you, but this was a run that you were up front all day. How proud are you of the effort, even though the result is not going to be there?
Yeah, I mean, really proud. I've been working on road courses this whole season, working with Jack Hawksworth in the Toyota simulator. So that's been very beneficial for me. And just anything I can do to learn, I'm trying to apply.
Glad you're okay.
That was crazy, the replay, and we were just breaking down some of what happened there during our commercial break, and we saw what it was that got the 18. Looked like Sawalich might get through there, and that tire just comes down and destroys the front end of his race car. We'll watch it again here. 18 coming in your picture there, and
wow.
You see that tire get right in the center of the hood. You know, when you have a wreck like that in front of you, you see some of those guys come in there way too fast, but you don't know, you don't expect a road course to be completely blocked, but as you mentioned, it kind of funnels down right there, and I don't think anybody expected that we were going to have that massive of a wreck.
Well, we talk about it so many times, and just how the level of aggression late, the intensity, it changes. Just human nature. It's natural in NASCAR. When you get down to the closing laps and you see it out there in front of you, you want to go get it. And that's what everybody's doing there. And it's hard to turn that off once you get it going. And for so many, just wrong place, wrong time, nothing they could do. Connor Zilich, after all this, sits out front and waits to get back under yellow and eventually the green flag. Here's what the race leaders radio is saying.
Think about this restart. It's only 21, I'll throw it again.
I would want him beside me, but he was beside him on the last restart, and Connor did such a good job that he cleared him, and that's what allowed the 21 to get behind him. I mean, it's almost like you got to think that Austin won't do that twice. But if I'm Zilich, and I do feel that way, if Austin picks beside me, I probably don't get as good of a restart, and I make sure that he gets to stay beside me a little bit more heading down into turn 1, so then I get to control my own destiny. When you get to turn 1, then I can watch him wide. I just would hope that he doesn't pick directly behind me. I feel pretty good about having my teammate there. You see the 8 car who maybe, would pick behind most likely if Austin goes to the outside. But that's really all you can do is just try to keep him beside you down into turn 1 if you're worried about him moving you out of the way again.
Here's Kim.
Here with Marty Lindley, crew chief for Connor Zilich. We heard a little apprehension on the radio in terms of the choose and what Austin Hill's going to do on the restart. Is there any hesitation when you think about restarting here around the 21?
Well, sure. I mean, the last one didn't go well for us. He shipped us off in a corner there. We lost 4 or 5 spots. So we got to survive turn 1 here. If we can survive turn 1, I think we'll be in good shape.
You and I talked this morning just about how you've tried to drill into Connor about being methodical when he gets caught in traffic. Obviously, an untimely caution kind of spoiled your strategy. He found himself in traffic, worked himself through that. How would you kind of grade him on how he's matured here in this race?
He's done a good job. I mean, for the most part, all the fenders are on. You know, there was a little bit of contact with SVG, and I hate to see that, but I think SVG thought he was clear and just didn't give Connor no room to get back onto the track. So I thought he's drove a great race. He's been a dominant car all day, and I just hope he finishes it off.
Good luck.
Thanks.
That's Marty Lindley. This team, the 88 team, looking for their 6th win of the season, Dylan.
And Kim, Michael McDowell has been released from the infield care center. Great to see him out here after
Yeah.
a hellacious crash there. So you said you've seen a little bit of the replay. I think we'll show it again here, but what's your view on what happened?
Yeah, you know, I don't want to say anything dumb because you tell you go back and watch it all, but I felt like I got 2 good restarts there and was able to take the lead clean. I didn't rough up the 21 at all. I didn't feel like, but it just kind of felt like he kept trying to move me there in the carousel, and then there, you know, I could see here. I mean, he was never going to get alongside you there. I was all the way out, and he wasn't even alongside. Just turned me. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I hate it for everybody. College racing, you know, we just trying to get a trophy there and had a couple shots at it. We had Bailey Zimmerman here actually at the racetrack hanging out and was hoping to get them the victory lane, and just unfortunate, but that's racing. And, you know, thankful to everybody at College, Chris Rice and Matt Collig and Ty Norris for letting me do it. I was trying to do a good job for him there, but it's not how we wanted to finish.
I know the result is not going to be what you want, but did you enjoy getting back in the Xfinity Series and racing today? Was it fun for you?
Yeah, it took me about 30 laps to get it figured out and get the timing of it. You know, the cars just drive so different compared to the next gen cars. So it took me a little while, but then I got the rhythm and felt like I was executing the race starts in the brake zones and doing all the thing I needed to do, and it just didn't work out.
Thanks for your time. Glad you're okay.
You know, we've always said Watkins Glen is the super speedway of road courses, and we've had some super speedway size crashes here, and we talk about this area of the racetrack, and unfortunately it's not the first time for Michael McDowell. Cup race 2014, and this is just unreal. Driving the 95, he and Ryan Newman get together. Newman hits about where McDowell did, or not too far off of it, and then wow, just incredible.
Well, it's just when you really get a sense of what the speed is here. And Adam, I would just go back as we listen to that interview from Michael McDowell. I'm with him. I just want to make clear that when we analyze these wrecks, I agree with Michael that there was really no place for Austin Hill to go. Like trying to get to the outside, they're going to run into dirt. What I was trying to get across is I don't think it was malicious or intentional of Austin Hill, like I'm going to get to his outside hooking. And there's a big difference there, because what people have been in trouble for in the past is when you see someone intentionally hook someone in the right rear and turn them into the wall. Intention is everything in this situation. I don't know that Austin Hill made the best decision right there. It was obviously a poor decision, but it's a decision he made. But I don't think his intention when he got out there was that he was mad at Michael McDowell. I'm going to hook him right here. And there's a really big difference in those two, and the way that we view them, the way that NASCAR views them. And I think the way, if you're at home watching this on TV, I know that there's a lot of people frustrated and upset with the outcome of this. But when you look at intention, it's everything in this scenario. Was it a great decision? No. But I don't think that Austin Hill's intention at that point was to hook him.
And Michael McDowell is okay. And it's great that he's come from the infield care center after a very, very scary crash here at Watkins Glen. We continue under the red flag as cleanup and repair at Watkins Glen. Stay with us on the CW.
Yeah, this is a very lengthy red flag. The good news is that we do have daylight today, that we are not running close on like we did with the truck race yesterday. This race started 2 hours before when the truck race took their green flag yesterday evening. And we still have about 8 laps left, so it's not like it's setting up for a 2-lap overtime restart necessarily. They haven't opened pit road yet. I would imagine as soon as they lift the red flag, pit road will be open that time. And I would probably expect there to be 5 or 6 laps to go in the restart. Probably more like 5. Yeah, I think the best way that Jamie McMurray explained the incident that took place was the most recent way that he explained it. Because he did say that Hill basically made the ill-advised decision there. I'm not going to regurgitate what I said for probably the third or fourth time now, but you guys have my opinion out there on the matter. Same precedent set for Connor Zilich, though. You know, I mean, obviously this one looked a lot more violent, but even the SVG hit was pretty hard into the turn 7 wall. That was another situation. You know, you got 2 guys fighting for the same spot. One of them in a much better position than the other when it comes to just racing away by, essentially holding on to their position or winning that said battle, and the other driver not willing to take no for an answer puts both drivers in an uncompromised position. The only difference is between this incident and the one that took place with the SVG crash, we had other innocent bystanders that were also collected, which made for a more dangerous scene of the incident. Drivers having to race their way on through, not getting checked up in time, piling into others that were also trying to check up.
All right. Well, we've been able to watch quite a few replays up here. You know, massive wreck over there heading up to turn 6. Just give us your perspective of of what happened there leading out of the carousel and trying to get to Michael's outside.
The 11 has been going on.
Is that an area that you've been able to make some passes maybe earlier in the race and it made that move work? Well, hey, thanks for talking to us. Really appreciate it. And here, good luck the rest of the race, buddy.
Yeah, we appreciate that from Austin Hill. Let's go down to Dylan.
Yeah, let's catch up with Ryan Sieg, who has also been released from the infield care center. So, what did you see there? And ultimately, now the points are obviously a main focus too. Minus 36 as we sit right now. So, what do the next 3 races look like for you guys?
No, we're gonna have to just kill it the next 3 races to try to put ourselves into the playoffs. I couldn't see anything, you know what I mean? Just all dust, and then by the time spotter said check up. I was underneath somebody. I don't know what caused it all. Just I don't know. Not a lot of give and take, which will tend to go. But you know what I mean. It's just I don't know. I think I've wrecked more lately, or in the past few years, than I have all my Xfinity career. It's just it's tough. You can you know what I mean hardly race because everybody seems to just get wiped out. Just we brought a great sides forward. Just working our way through the field. Just wasn't the best of cars. We worked on it, got better and better throughout the race, and just tried to put our position, or you know, ourselves in a good position to put tires on at the end and try to gain some spots. But just end result was not what we needed.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dylan referenced the point situation, and they've been on such a climb. And unfortunately, the momentum comes to a halt today, and now the pressure is on with what will be 3 races to go as we exit Watkins Glen. They're bringing some concrete over to try and help reinforce the wall where we had the accident between turns 5 and 6. They've already brought in at least one of those concrete barriers to slide in behind the existing barrier that is there. And you know, to do this on the fly is very, very challenging. But you know what a hot spot this area of the track is, and you don't. If you're NASCAR and everyone involved on the safety side, you just can't go back racing until you know you've got everything where it needs to be from a safety perspective.
Yeah, and I can speak from experience because I've hit that Armco barrier actually in the S's. I blew a tire out. And it looks like it gives, but it feels like a concrete wall when you hit it. That impact that McDowell had to cause that much damage. So thankful to see Michael get out and be able to tell us about what happened. That was huge. And
The wall repair continues here at Watkins Glen. We sit and we wait for the finish. It's the NASCAR Xfinity Series on CW.
I don't think they need to be switching the road course layout up. I mean, it's the same layout we've had for years. We've had crashes all over this racetrack that have been dangerous over the years. This area specifically has yielded a couple of them. They showed the Ryan Newman incident from a couple years ago that Michael McDowell was also collected in. I think Hornish and Gordon had a pretty hard crash in that area of the racetrack before as well. Turn 1's been a hot spot for many of them. A lot of brake failures over the years. Denny Hamlin had one. Obviously, Jimmy Johnson way back in the day was at 2001 when he had that crash in the Busch Series at Watkins Glen. The Estes has had some gnarly incidences. It's just a dangerous race course. Faster than any other road course we go to. Tight confines, just like a normal road course would have. And it leads to hellacious crashes like this from time to time. I don't think the excess pavement and the lack of track limits is the sole reason for why we have seen, you know, the 2 incidences that we've seen so far today that have led to pretty hard hits, and this most recent one, a very violent crash that luckily everybody was okay from. I don't think that this is the deterrent to have track limits. There's a reason why there aren't as many track limits with NASCAR on exit of corners. They do like to enforce them more with corner entry, which is why we see them in the S's a lot. These cars are a lot bigger than any other form of motorsports that races at a road course like this, or any other road courses that we do have on the schedule. And they're just not purpose built, especially with these Xfinity cars, for instance, compared to even what the Cup cars are nowadays, to be built to run on courses that have right-handed turns, essentially. So they kind of need that excess pavement there to run off of. They didn't use that before when it wasn't pavement and it was just all grass. I don't know exactly what year it was, for instance, at Watkins Glen, where they took all the grass and the sand or whatever out of turn 1. Specifically gave them that extra asphalt there to try to help catch themselves on corner exit. Yeah, NASCAR's got their own road course. Sports cars would not race this configuration. Again, their cars are much lighter. They're more purpose-built for road courses specifically. They will go much faster than what these NASCAR Cup cars will. And, you know, these NASCAR Cup cars are having violent crashes on this closed course. You can imagine what sports car racing or any other form of motorsports would do on this kind of a course. There's a reason why, you know, a lot of the road courses that NASCAR does go to, they're not the same layout as other motorsports. It's just not it's not comparable. So if you come from a fan base of watching more road course racing and other motorsports out there, there's a lot of reasoning behind why there aren't track limits that are necessarily enforced when it comes to NASCAR, that they do need more leeway. It does create for more passing opportunities for sure too. If we had track limits, I mean, there already isn't as much passing on road courses as it is compared to most ovals on the NASCAR circuit. If you enforce track limits on corner exit, these guys, I mean, it would look like a Formula One race, but at a slower pace than what Formula One goes. It'd be like a less fast version, I guess, of open wheel racing when it comes to road courses. To make a rule change like that, like I said, I think it would have to be out of a safety concern for other drivers. And in the event of the two violent crashes that we saw today, they were completely avoidable if the driver on the outside line and in the uncompromised position just lifts, gives up the position, fights on another day, fights on another lap. In both instances that we saw where these incidences took place, first the Zilich and SVG crash, that happened with like 17 laps to go. And there were a lot of laps left that Zilich could have lifted and easily lived to fight another day. And then in the event of Austin Hill going for second, I get Zilich is pulling away. You want to catch up to him. You haven't had the pace that he's had all day anyway. So you have, 8 laps left to get by the 11 of Michael McDowell for second. That move didn't have to happen, right there. And he even stated that his best move was probably to just lift and live to fight on another lap, which is what I, stated numerous times is what probably should have ended up doing if he can go back and change anything. And he even said that that's something that he feels he should have done in hindsight. Somebody else in the chat mentioned something about they do have 2 pedals. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I forget who said it a while back, but I do remember seeing that comment. There's a gas pedal, there's a brake pedal. They don't even necessarily have to use the brake pedal with the momentum that these race cars are carrying, and one guy's on throttle and the other one's off. You blip the throttle even just a little bit, you can get back in line, no problem. It's kind of the same facet of why we see crashes on super speedways nowadays. Where I feel like a lot of, if you're watching like a broadcast, they'll kind of defend the drivers, I feel like a little bit as to, well, it's go time. It's the end of the race. The pay window's open basically. We got to, you don't have any other opportunities, so you got to stay in the game. It's like, no, that's not how that works necessarily. It's like, I'm not lifting at any cost. I don't know. I didn't grow up with it. When I was racing when I was younger, different day and age. I'm not old either. That's the crazy thing. Like, I feel like I'm wise above my years. I sound like I was racing back in a more dangerous time in the 80s and 90s, but the fact of the matter is that I'm younger than a lot of the guys, for instance, in the Cup Series that have been making over aggressive mistakes for over a decade, like a Joey Logano or Ross Chastain's probably a little older than me too. He's probably got a couple years on me. I would have been the Mark Martin of my era. The best to never win a championship and getting used up by everybody else.
Today has shown a lot of speed, good road racer, and who knows what he might be able to do once we get back racing. And we understand from everyone that's on fence repair detail that we're getting really close to getting everything repaired and done so we can lift the red flag. It's been a wild day here at Watkins Glen. No doubt a big finish coming. 8 laps to go as we set up the red flag.
Are you?
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to hit that area of the wall again that Michael McDowell just hit. The guardrail. They got extra concrete kind of back behind it to try to reinforce the steel that was once there. That was just straight concrete. That probably hurt even more the second time. Can't just have an opening in the fence there either, though, so. I'm sure it's just a makeshift fix. Hopefully, and I would assume that the officials around the racetrack will be going to work as soon as this race is over to try to do whatever they can to repair that wall before the Cup race tomorrow even more. And if they don't have all the supplies necessary to do so, they'll obviously be able to finish the job, get new guardrail in replace of what we did have before that accident, before the next race weekend here at Watkins Glen, whatever motorsport ends up coming to town next. Although that area of the racetrack isn't even being used by many other motorsport series other than NASCAR, so it might be temporary as it is to have that guardrail there, which could have been another reason as to why it maybe isn't holding up following this massive impact compared to if he would have hit it another area of the track. Yeah, nothing's cheap in racing. It doesn't matter what it is, from the cars to the surfaces that these guys race on, the walls, any added safety feature that's implemented to any track anywhere. Widen out that straightaway part of the track, turn 5 to 6. Why do they funnel it back down? So I don't know how far out the I need an aerial shot of the racetrack. Well, you know what? We got time to kill. We're still under red flag. Let's go Watkins Glen track map. Okay. Here's a good one. All right. And I'll get rid of my camera here. Why that part of the track itself is so narrow up out of turn 5. So it's probably like that, if I had to guess, because of the way that the boot is. Where this crash took place was right about this area where turn 9 would be on the normal road course. They were up off the exit of the corner. They were coming to the area of the track where they were, basically headed for this wall. Hill lifted, hooked. They need some sort of a wall on the outside here, specifically, in tight confines for the normal road course that most other motorsport series would race. So when they come out of turn 9, that would basically keep them on course. And as far as a wall on this side, that they were fastly approaching coming out of the exit at turn 5, where Hill was basically trying to move back up into line to avoid from running out of racetrack. That wall's right there because of the excess pavement up off of the exit of turn 5 from the carousel. So that way these guys are just all the way out here leading down into turn 6. So it has to get enclosed at some point. I would imagine that that's why that area of the track is as narrow as it is. Because you basically have two different road course layouts intertwined into one, or coming together into one at this specific point of the racetrack. It's really the only area of the racetrack that is as tight as it is straightaway wise, from wall on the inside to wall on the outside. My assumption is that it's because of it being an exit to one corner and a straightaway of another. Because every other part that NASCAR uses road course wise is all the same, except for this little area of the racetrack. If that answers your question at all, STL Mark. That's my assumption. I'm no racetrack. I don't know. I don't even know what to call myself there. I don't build racetracks for a living, I guess. That's what I'm getting at. I would assume that that's why the dimensions of the wall are as narrow as they are in that area for that reason. The only other part of the racetrack where it's more narrow than that would be the Esses, but that's a little different because that's going from one corner to the next. I mean, this track was built back in what, the 60s, 50s? Probably not wanting to change the original design of the racetrack as much as they can help it, while just trying to advance safety along the way. Solution, add the boot. I'll tell you what, that'd be very unpopular, I feel like, among most NASCAR fans. Remember when they tried that at Sonoma a couple years ago? When they just went to the normal course that everybody else uses? They did that for the 2020 and 2021 races at Sonoma. I would say that most of the NASCAR... no, it was 2019, 2020, I believe. Maybe they used it for 3 years. However many years they used that for. I think a lot of fans would agree that that probably wasn't well suited for NASCAR stock car racing. It's just more tighter. You're adding more tighter turns with these cup cars. It'd be a huge slow portion of the racetrack. The normal layout that they have now, obviously, with it being 90 laps, if they added this boot, I guarantee this race would be under 70 laps. And as a fan going to the racetrack, and I think one thing that would I probably like the least amount of going to a road course compared to going to see an oval race is getting to see the cars more times. You know, you go to an oval race and you're seeing the cars fly by you at X amount of speed hundreds of times throughout the course of a normal NASCAR race. And here it's down into the double digits. And even 90 laps at Watkins Glen's quite a bit. You go to other road courses, like when they were racing at Road America, and that race was only 60 laps. I'd rather see the cars fly by me as many times as possible. By making the road course layout longer, as less times I get to see my favorite drivers come past me as a fan in the grandstands. Yeah, red flag has now been lifted. We're back under caution flag conditions. By the way, in no means am I trying to refute every single comment that I've seen in the chat by any means. I'm just trying to be the contrarian here and try to explain maybe why things are the way they are. In the best way possible. Quite a bit of damage for Taylor Gray, who got a piece of that last incident. He's on pit road, one of the many that were in the top 5, top 10 that were involved in that crash.
First lap, obviously, with we saw with he and Austin Hill earlier. But it's also when you have a big wreck like that and you've got a lot of cars that are wounded, it really increases the chance that another caution could come out, not because of a wreck, but because of pieces falling off of a car and you have a debris caution, and then you have to re-rack them again and go through another restart. And this is going to be key to the race, is this first corner for the 88 to see what what lane the 21 chooses, and then however everyone gets raced when we get down into turn 1.
Justin Allgaier was inside the top 10, going to make a pit stop. Kaz Grala looked like also had pulled off to get service here. Kim?
Yeah, and for Justin Allgaier and crew chief Jim Pullman, there was some debate on the radio whether or not they were going to come. Eddie DeHaan kind of telling them where they would net out if they came down 4 fresh tires. I think he gave up like the 7th or something spot. Thinks they'll net out between
7th or something.
13th and 15th after taking tires. And then just another benefit of putting fresh tires on for these final laps is he did drive through some debris. Now, he wasn't reporting any problems that he felt in the tire, but just as an extra precaution.
Shown over 20 cars on the lead lap. Some damage for Jesse Love. He's got the 2 car from RCR on the pit lane.
Yeah, he has damage on both ends. The back didn't look that bad, but it's to me like there's also a lot of damage on the front of that car.
Over 20 cars on the lead lap. And we talk about the potential for another caution. You get another one now, and we'll have overtime most likely, because look at the stage of the race we're in, and just how long the caution laps are here, and it just takes a long time to clean things up, or it can. And so, last year 2 overtimes. See if we get an extra session here today. So they open pit road that time around, and we'll do the choose out of the bus stop this time, and we'll be green with 6 laps to go. So executing this as quickly as possible is NASCAR after that red flag and all the cleanup.
Well, we got to think Connor's going to take the inside. He mentioned he didn't want Austin Hill to be on, to his inside, kind of be in control of his race there. The decision's going to be, does Hill choose behind him? I would think Austin's going to choose. We're going to find out next time.
Yeah, we just got lap. So it'll be 5 laps to go when we restart things here.
There are not many cars left, by the way.
The outside to be on the front row, have your best spot. We saw the lead actually get taken from the outside. If you get a good restart, tires are worn out now. The thing is, Connor's had so much experience of restarting on the front row, and I think that's an advantage, of knowing where he wants to launch. And because of where they put that restart zone, it's before turn 7, and yesterday in the ARCA race, the truck race, you saw a lot of guys hit the wall on the initial start just because they're trying to figure out how much speed you can carry around there. You look right there between those 2 white lines is where you're going to accelerate, and I think it's caught some guys off guard, but Connor's done a really good job being on the inside of being able to get a good, clean launch.
Let's get an update on driver 16, Christian Eckes, having a good day in position for a good day, Dylan.
Yeah, certainly deserve an attaboy. This entire crew does. They had an issue in practice where they got collected in that Shane Van Gisbergen and Sam Mayer scuffle in turn number 1. Didn't get to qualify, and so they started 36. But talked with Christian before the race. He said, this is, I think, the best road course car we've had all year. So was extra disappointed to have to start so far back, but felt like if they could survive some of the calamity, that they were going to have a good race car. So they've done that. They're in position right now to potentially battle it out for the win. And this has kind of been the story of their year a little bit. They have not had very much luck. Alex Jans, the crew chief, said, one day when we're old and gray, I think we're going to look back and laugh about how awful our luck has been this year, but maybe some good luck turning the way.
Whoa!
Car here, Cam.
Nick Sanchez crashed under caution.
Issue for the 48, Adam.
Yeah, Nick Sanchez under caution. And this is coming out of the carousel, and he's in the tire barrier here.
Sears on me. Stuck.
Wow.
I heard him say, I don't know what broke. He just has no steering right there. Look at that. It doesn't look to me like the right front was even turning. It's almost like something in the steering broke.
Well, I think about those drivers that made a pit stop. And you want
They
green
want
flag
all the laps they can
right?
get,
And
yeah.
you lose one because we were set to go back under the green flag. We thought was 6 to go. NASCAR adds a lap. It's going to be 5 to go, and now this.
Yeah, this is going to take a second to get hooked onto, and fortunately, it's not too far from the pits where they are right there.
We had said if we
At
get
least a lap,
another-
though.
Yeah, we said if we get another caution, we're looking at overtime. We might get overtime without another
That's
caution,
right.
depending on how long this takes. So we'll take a break as they pull Sanchez out, and we'll go Greenwood.
Well, Sanchez's car breaks down on him in the middle of turn 5, ends up in the tire wall under caution. They were about to get the one to go signal that last time by. That's not going to be the case anymore. So the safety officials around that area of the racetrack going to have to reset the tire wall. They're going to have to pull the 48 from it, get him back into the garage area. And we might be looking like 2 or 3 laps to go in the restart instead of the 5 or 6 like we were originally going to see when they first lifted the red flag. Connor Zilich, again, is still the race leader. We'll go through the full field running order here. Austin Hill's in 2nd, Sammy Smith 3rd, then Sam Mayer is 4th, Austin Green 5th, Christian Eckes in 6th, Carson Quapple 7th, Brandon Jones 8th, Harrison Burton 9th, Brendan Poole 10th, Parker Retzlaff 11th, Jeremy Clements 12th, Stephen Parsons 13th, Austin J. Hill 14th, Justin Allgaier 15th, Kaz Gralla 16th, Dean Thompson 17th, Jesse Love 18th, Taylor Gray 19th, and Daniel Dyan 20th, Glen Ring 21st, Jeb Burton 22nd, Nick Sanchez 23rd, 24th for Blaine Perkins, Michael McDowell 24th, William Sawalich 25th, Josh Balicki 26th, Ryan Sieg 27th, Ryan Ellis 28th, Kyle Sieg, sorry, I had that wrong. I think I skipped somebody. Balicki 27th, Ryan Sieg 28th, 29th, Ryan Ellis, then Kyle Sieg 30th, Shane Van Gisbergen 31st, Anthony Alfredo 32nd, Matt DiBenedetto 33rd, Shelton Trade 34th, Preston Pardis 35th, Riley Herbst 36th, Thomas Annunziata 37th, and Garrett Smithley 38th. Rounds out the field. So there are only 22 cars on the lead lap. Almost half the field has been taken out of this race due to an incident. Had a lot of DNFs yesterday in the truck race and a lot today. A lot of mechanical failures yesterday in the truck race. Today, a lot of them were taken out because of that last incident, which caused us to go under red for a pretty lengthy period of time. Looking on the timeline side of it, it doesn't show exactly how long the red flag lasted for. For those of you who probably didn't see the wreck, here's a replay of it. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted for this. Get another angle of the replay. Then here's the oncoming traffic trying to get on the binders in time. Running over each other, trying to miss the incident ahead. We'll see if they get the one to go signal this time around. That's the first time I've ever shown like a replay or anything like that on the channel. I might end up doing that more often. I didn't realize that I had that available for me. I'll find out if I get copyrighted for that or not in the aftermath of the stream. If I have to cut that like 60 seconds or so, I will. Got almost 200 people watching. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Try to get this as close to 100 likes of the stream as we can. We're only at 71 right now. Subscribe for more NASCAR content along the way. They will be going green this time by. And we will have, I believe, 4 laps to go on the restart here at Watkins Glen. So luckily, we only lost 1 extra lap of green flag action because of Nick Sanchez hitting the wall under caution. And Sammy Smith on the front row with his teammate, Connor Zilich. Zilich definitely the driver to beat in the late going. He's got Austin Hill behind him on the inside of row 2. Green flag back in the air. Great launch for Sammy Smith out of the restart zone, and Sammy Smith is going to have the lead as they cross the start-finish line, and Zilich having to go for second place on Sam Mayer into the first turn instead. Sammy Smith maybe backs up turn 1 a little bit too much, and Zilich hangs on the right rear corner panel of his race car side by side for the lead, and Zilich still comes through with the lead into the S's. Door-to-door for second between Sammy Smith and Sam Mayer. Smith in front of Mayer as they cycle single file now and head for the bus stop. There was a car that went spinning in turn 1, middle of the pack. Couldn't tell who that was, but we stay green for now. Christian Eckes, Carson Kvapil off-roading a bit. They go wide out of the bus stop after making severe contact. Big slide. Eckes got the worst end of that deal. He loses a spot to Allgaier, Austin Green, and Brandon Jones, as well as Kvapil, who he was battling with for 5th. Zilich still has about a 3 to 4 car length advantage over Sammy Smith as they get to the line for 3 laps to go this time by. Still got guys going all over the place. Brent Poole going wide out of turn 6. Trying to hang on for a top 10. The driver went for a spin, by the way. It was Parker Retzlaff in turn 1. Looked like he might have just wheel hopped. I don't think he really had contact from anybody from behind. Maybe made some slight contact with somebody who was to his outside after overdriving the entry to the corner. Zilich expands his lead just a bit as they work their way uphill through the S's again. Tight battle for second still ongoing between the two Sams, Sam Smith, Sam Mayer. Either one of these two seem to have the pace for the one driver ahead of them. Zilich hoping that this race stays green long enough to get to the white flag. Sam Mayer with a great over-under move into the bus stop. He now takes a peek to the inside of Sammy Smith, who goes a bit wide through the carousel in turn 5, and Sam Mayer is clear for second place up off the exit of the corner. Now, Mayer doesn't have any damage on the nose of his car. The 88's got some slight damage to the left front, but did he fall too far off of the lead before he had gotten to second place? He's 1.5 seconds back. Justin Allgaier fastly approaching the 1 of Kvapil, trying to get back into the top 5. All the drivers battling for the regular season championship are all up in the front of the running order by the end of the race. Remember, Allgaier and Zilich were tied for the points lead coming in. They both won a stage today. Sam Mayer was minus 16 points, and he sits in second. And it seems like it's still going to be a tight race following the conclusion of this one, if they can all at least maintain where they are running currently with about a lap and a half to go. First half of this lap, Mayer is still losing time to Zilich. He's almost 2 seconds off the lead. He is pulling away from Sammy Smith after making that pass for the spot. Austin Hill trying to close on the 8 car. Still got a few car lengths to him. Pretty tight battle, though, between Allgaier and Kvapil for 5th. Allgaier's been all over the back of this 1 car, and Allgaier's all over the racetrack trying to keep up with Carson. He's going wide. He's kicking some dust up in the bus stop. That's probably going to be the tightest battle on the racetrack coming to the final lap, is the one for 5th between those JRM teammates. Allgaier standing on the throttles. He goes wide up out of turn 6 again, setting him up so he can get to the inside off of 7. Can't do it there either. At the front of the field, white flag is in the air. 1 lap to go for Connor Zilich. Zilich got his debut win in his debut race in the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Watkins Glen a year ago. And at the age of 19, he's already got 5 wins on the season, about to be 6. This will be the 3rd win on a road course in the Xfinity Series this year. And the 7th win of his career in the Xfinity level, 4th on a road course, and the first repeat of which started on the pole today. He led the most laps. He was the guy to beat all day long. He had the pace. A little bit of an on-track run-in while battling with SVG late. But outside of that, it was a relatively clean race for Zilich. A minor mistake in there, another learning curve in the young racing career for Zilich. But fights through the adversity, and he's still able to get the race win today. Checkered flag in the air. Connor Zilich will win at Watkins Glen 2.3-second margin of victory as he crosses the line over Sam Mayer, who holds on for second. Sammy Smith third, Austin Hill fourth, and Carson Quapple rounds out the top 5 in fifth. Sixth place finish for Justin Allgaier, Austin Green seventh, Christian Eckes eighth, Brandon Jones ninth, Harrison Burton rounds out the top 10. 11th was Kaz Gralla, Brennan Poole 12th, Dean Thompson 13th, Jesse Love 14th, and Jeremy Clements 15th. Jeb Burton 16th, Daniel Dye 17th, Taylor Gray 18th, Stephen Parsons 19th, and Austin J. Hill 20th. Glenn Reen 21st, Parker Retzlaff 22nd, Blaine Perkins 23rd. We had 22 cars finish on the lead lap. Nick Sanchez ended up 24th. Michael McDowell 25th, William Sawalich 26th, Josh Balicki 27th, Ryan Sieg 28th, Ryan Ellis 29th, and Kyle Sieg 30th. Shane Van Gisbergen 31st, Anthony Alfredo 32nd, Matt DiBenedetto 33rd, Preston Partis 34th, Sheldon Creed 35th, Riley Herbst 36th, Thomas Annunziata 37th, and Garrett Smithley rounds out the 38 car field. We had a ton of DNFs today. I think everybody from Sanchez on back DNF'd. Get my count right here. I believe 15 DNFs today. Again, 22 cars finished on the lead lap. 7 cautions, 17 lead changes, 1 red flag, 20 laps spent under yellow out of the 82 laps completed in today's race. We finished under the regulation length of 82 laps, 200 miles. Stage winners, Justin Allgaier in Stage 1. Stage 2, Connor Zilich. Zilich led 60 of the 82 laps today. 1 lap led for Sammy Smith, 3 for Austin Hill, 3 for Justin Allgaier, 1 for Jesse Love. Retzlaff had 1, 1 for McDowell, 1 for Sawalich. A lot of those were during pit stops under green flag conditions. There's nobody outright past Zilich for the lead. Pit strategy set him behind in Stage 3 with a caution in the middle of green flag stops. Came from 9th place at the lowest in the running order in this final stage.
The Mobile One Victory Lane will deliver the message and talk to him next.
Thought we were going to get an interview there with Connor Zilich. I guess we're going to have to wait till after the commercial break to get an interview from him. We're not going to cut the stream short. I want to make sure that we hear from our race winner, for today's event. Be sure to hit the like button again if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content like this every NASCAR race weekend. We are going to be live tomorrow for the NASCAR Cup race at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Beginning with our pre-race, we'll do some NASCAR trivia. I'll talk about who I think is going to run well, not run well for the race. We'll highlight the Fantasy League. Then we'll go through the season and review up to this point. 3 races to go in the regular season for the Cup side. And that will all be on tomorrow's pre-race. Again, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, we'll go live, and that will lead into the live commentary on that stream soon after. It's weird. We usually don't get a commercial break right after the checkered flag falls. We'll get an ad break of our own while we're waiting this out. You're listening live, brief post race here on KRC. NASCAR Xfinity Series action at Watkins Glen. Yes, Connor Zilich is running tomorrow. Forget where exactly he qualified, but I believe he starts in the top half of the field. Triple duty this weekend. Ran the truck race yesterday at a top 10. Maybe he can get a top 10 in all 3 series. That'd be pretty good for a rookie. I'm surprised we had 17 lead changes. Considering that the guy who led all but 22 laps in the race that means we almost didn't see the same guy lead more than, well, I mean, there were a lot of guys that only led 1 lap. And most of those were during pit stops. Pit stops or restarts where they maybe got the launch and were ahead of Zilich at the line. Kind of like how Sammy Smith was, for instance, on that last restart. Got out ahead of Zilich there, was able to lead the lap coming to the start-finish line out of the restart zone. Zilich got it back, so that accounts for technically 2 lead changes. Yeah, Connor did dominate. He dominated. He was the guy to beat, and he got the race win. Kind of similar to Corey Heim yesterday, where he dominated, wasn't at ease that he was going to necessarily be the one to beat until he got into those late couple of restarts and he was doing his business. And Corey Heim got his 6th win of the season yesterday. Connor Zilich gets his 6th win of the season today. Nobody in the Cup Series could go for number 6 tomorrow, but going to have some strong competitors trying to go for maybe a 4th, like an SVG. Kyle Larson's won at Watkins Glen twice before. He is going for his 4th win. Bell won on a road course earlier in the year at Coda, going for win number 4 tomorrow. Yeah, we got a little bit of an extra post race. We usually aren't live for a post race for the Xfinity or truck races, but I'm still waiting on the commercial so we can get a word from Connor Zilich in Victory Lane. I still got a little over 100 people watching. Again, if you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. We're at 93 likes right now, by the way. So we're 7 shy of 100, which would double our goal coming into the stream.
Return favor, gets back by his teammate, heading to turn 2, up through the S's, and once he got out front, the game was over. Jamie mentioned only 19 years old. 7 victories, the youngest ever to reach 7 career wins. Let's go down to Mobile One Victory Lane, Dylan.
Oh! Oh! We went down on the cage stand.
Oh my gosh, you fell.
Jeez!
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Oh, Connor Zilich falling as he climbed out of the car and went to celebrate the victory. We'll take a break and come back on CW.
Did that seriously just happen? I think he slipped on the window net when he was standing on the driver's side door there. I mean, he looked like he was out. I mean, he fell hard. He's falling on concrete, asphalt, whatever it is, out there in Victory Lane. I mean, that's got to be like, what, a 4-foot drop? However high the window is. I've never seen that before. Hopefully he's all right. I mean, he was laying there. Might have knocked himself silly. I really hope he didn't fall on his head. That would be terrible. Hopefully he just knocked the wind out of himself and he can get back up right away. That'd be the best thing that could happen. Then we could just all laugh it off. But he kind of reminded me of like one of those hard football hits where somebody's just kind of laying there and they're just like trying to like move their extremities. That's what it looked like. He was just kind of laying there on the ground and he's trying to make a fist with the one hand and he. Oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, you don't want to see that happen to anybody by any stretch of the imagination. But what a story this kid has been able to put on this season at such a young age. Yeah, well, like I said already, we usually don't go live for post-race shows for the Xfinity or truck stuff. Hopefully they come back for commercial. He's just laughing it off. But I don't know what I just saw there. I mean, that's I mean, the camera angle, we don't know how he fell. Other than, well, like how he fell by how he landed on the ground. But it looked like he slipped on the window net. He kind of struggled when he first stood up. And then he stood up anyway. And then I think the window net probably slid on him a little bit with his left foot. He had his left foot on the window net that was hung over the door of the car. And then the right foot was on the roof. And just lost his footing. Obviously, there were people there to check on him initially. After the fall, a lot of his team members were just kind of, they looked stunned, like they couldn't believe what just happened, which is kind of how I felt in the instant reaction.
Welcome back to our NASCAR Xfinity Series coverage from Watkins Glen on CW. A scary scene in Victory Lane. Connor Zilich won, and as he climbed from the car to celebrate, he fell. Let's go down to Victory Lane now and get the latest with Dylan Welch.
And Connor is was speaking with medical personnel, so they were swiftly on the scene here. Both folks right here in Victory Lane, and then the trackside media medical group that drove the medical golf cart in. They are loading him on a backboard right now and going to put him on the cart and I believe taking him to the infield medical center just for more evaluation. But did get confirmation he was speaking with the medical folks, and that's the only thing we can say at this time.
Anyway, just our thoughts with Connor and, the euphoria of celebrating a win and just such a scary, scary scene for him. And we just send him all the well wishes as they take him to the medical center. Well, we had a red flag for 45 minutes, and that was a very, very scary scene with the crash that happened to bring it out and everything that followed. 16 cars involved there. It takes 45 minutes to clean it up. You repair the fence. Luckily, in that crash, everybody was able to go to the care center and be released. You finish the day and you celebrate a win for Connor Zilich and everything that he's been able to accomplish this year. And unfortunately, you end on a downer with him having the fall there in Victory Lane. And as we said, we just hope that he is okay. And as you reflect back on this day, Zilich wins it, and you look through, some of the things that happened here this afternoon. And, when you think about the racing side of it, Jamie, you just can't say enough about what this young driver has been able to accomplish and, the season that he's been able to put together at 19 years old in his rookie campaign.
Yeah, and Adam, that was super scary. And I'm with you. Prayers to Connor and that whole family. That was just horrific to watch, and hopefully he's okay. It has been an amazing year for him. Everything that he's been able to do, I honestly I'm at a loss for words because that was tough to watch.
The PBR is coming up next on CW. So as we sign off from Watkins Glen, we remind you to use the NASCAR social channel.
All right, I think CW is going off the air at the moment. Well, that sucks. No other way to say about that. I'm not even worried about the race tomorrow where Zilich is supposed to run the number 87 Red Bull Chevrolet at Trackhouse for tomorrow's race. I just hope he's fine. Luckily, he was able to talk to the medical personnel on standby. They did stretcher him back to the infield care center area of the track. He was lying down flat as he was getting wheeled back to that area of the infield section of the racetrack. So hopefully reports are out when they do get released, and hopefully they're going to be good reports and he's going to be okay. And like I said, hopefully we could, just kind of lap this off, and move on, and hopefully he's gonna be perfectly fine would be the best thing. But definitely a scary scene there, and not anything I have ever seen all those victory lane, moments that we've seen over the years where, I mean, guys do what he was trying to do there the whole time. The only thing I could think of is I never paid close enough attention before. Is the window net usually like inside the car? Because it looked like that's what he slipped on. And obviously that foot was on the bottom, so he went down. That's a good, at least a 4-foot fall. And we don't know how exactly he landed on the ground, so hopefully he is going to be okay here. So thoughts are definitely with Zilich. Congratulations to him winning the race here today, but bigger story, hopefully he is going to be okay from this fall. So we're going to go off. That's going to be the end of the stream. I'm in a loss for words, kind of like Jamie McMurray was there briefly, that I don't know how to really end this thing other than end it. Thank you all for watching today's live commentary coverage. We'll be live at 1:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow for the NASCAR Cup race. Get well soon, Connor Zilich. Have a good rest of your evening, everybody. Stay safe.